Testing 1, 2.
Some dreams stay dreams. Some dreams come true.
Sorry, I was accepting your invite. I would have tried to match that, but I think that's well left alone. How are you, brother?
Right side of the bars, right side of the ground. What can I say?
Ground nonetheless.
Right? Grounding. And we just finished off with Dan, actually. Dan was doing his voice acting session with Christian.
Oh, that's amazing. How's that been going?
Let's see if we can ask him right now. Hold on, let me see if he's free.
Why speculate when we can get eyewitness testimony?
He
I know.
he has been driving me into the ground. My knees are bleeding. You know, Python. All I hear is Python, Python, Python. Oh, I'm just wore out.
Oh man,
It's
been so
all
long.
love. It's all love.
Oh yeah.
You left when you learned everything you needed to learn.
Is wisely put. Wisely
Oh,
put.
you can ask Dan yourself. Spotlight on Dan.
Dan.
Spotlight on Dan.
Boarding areas and offices.
How you doing, my man?
And usually
How are you, brother?
I'm good,
Been
man.
so long.
I'm good. It's good to hear your voice, man. Merry Christmas, Happy Thanksgiving.
All those things.
Yeah, man. It's been crazy tonight, man. It's fun though. It's a good session with Christian. Excited about what's to come to next, and lots of work to do, but excited. Fun.
Web3. I did not say hello to you. I didn't even. My screen's a little broken, so I can't see you over there in the corner.
That's okay.
I thought I recognized your voice.
I'm a little creepy. I hide in the corners.
No,
How
that's all
did you
right.
recognize him by his voice?
No, I recognized his voice, but I can't see his emblem on the right side of the screen because like it's just like maybe 1/10 of my screen's probably 2/10 is cut out. It's like all black.
You got a special notch, is what you're saying.
Yeah. But I knew your voice though, brother, and my heart rang. So I know you. Man, it's been a long time, bro. Had COVID twice, guys.
You okay now?
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
man.
I actually got it again right now. That's how long it's been. It's been maybe 3 months, and got the flu last week. Man, it's been crazy. There's so many kids around here that it's like a different germ enters the arena every day.
Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Freaking 17 people here, man.
Yeah, KC has two little germ, experimental little petri dishes running around his house. So he fully same thing. One gets it, everybody gonna get it.
Oh yeah, and then sometimes recently it's been feeling like a cycle that catches us at the worst time, like just at the tail end of one sickness, another one comes, and then another one comes, almost for like the past year. Degen conversations in a broadcaster's voice.
That's the name of the game. Voice is the game, my fans. Should be fun.
But yeah, um, well said, man. I was just thinking about what you said, Michael, when you said you learned what you needed to learn. You know, you don't like to think like that because then you assume the standpoint of arrogance, you know, and then you're in your head like, man, I like really want to do this, but then you look back and in hindsight, it's kind of like more true and noble to be like, maybe that's what happened. Let me spare myself the guilt.
Well, it's good to see you're still as introspective as you were. Hold
Yes,
on to
sir.
it.
Yeah, no, that much wasn't. I know it's easy to spend snippets online and pretend to be somebody, but I'd like to think that we all spent too much time together to think that of each other. a wise salesman once told me. He said I like to take people out like in the field for like a week, and I said why? He said everyone else does it for 2 days, and I said why? He said, well, because someone could pretend to be something for a day or two, but for a whole week, that's pretty hard.
Dan, you want to give us a slate and tell us how it went today?
Yeah, enough about me.
Oh man, I got a slate here. Hello, this is Dan Rockwell, and I'm represented by Infinity Forge. I had a good session. I think I have to be strong armed a bit because I feel like I have a lot of like programmed ways of doing stuff. Plus, I am overanalyzing and constantly thinking. But it was a good session, and I got some homework, which is cool. My wife just brought me some tacos, so that's a big bonus. Uh, um,
Just
yeah,
gotta let it come from your heart.
yeah, exactly. I was really stiff at first, and then sort of had to kind of relax and get one of the problems is that I always want to know the instructions. I kind of want to know where we parked, why we parked, and how exactly to get back there. Mostly because I hate wherever I am usually, and I always want to know how I can leave. And so I'm always looking for instructions from people sometimes. So sometimes with Christian, I'm looking for the formula or the path, and a lot of I think how he's sort of teaching me is to be more on the fly because that helps the thinking, which I get. Plus it's his way, and just I have to be open to learning. I haven't taken a course. I haven't gone back to school in a long time, so got to be open for it. I am open for it because I'm excited about what's on the other side. So um, that's what's going on with that. I'm really excited about it, and good opportunity. I don't know, Michael. How did I do? You were there. How did I do? I think I did just fine. Yeah, I'm getting better.
That's the voice of reason right there. Silence.
Exactly. Well, he's
Damn,
usually
man.
juggling a lot of stuff too, so he's kind of the master of ceremonies in the background, working on things a lot. So.
Can I just interject the one little
Sure.
bit piece that I saw with Matthias and Lagatha and forget who else was there. Uh, Gosh, I can't recall right off the top of my head. But it seems like the way that he's approaching it is like, pretty much relax, be natural, but then look into your inner self, your heart, to drive what your brain, what you're going to create. And that's kind of the feeling I got after
Yeah.
watching that little bit. And that's like the depth of your speaking is driven by like a singer using the diaphragm, to
Mm-hmm.
bring in some of those changes. And it's like if you get into a character, it's kind of like keep it in your heart, not structure it in your mind, because in the heart it flows a lot better versus being logical. It will, kind of sound segmented or
Mm-hmm.
hollow, that kind of thing.
Well,
So
and just in my session now, I started off really rigid, and toward the end, I was like completely different composure. So a lot of it is like I need to recognize my own composure of like how well I'm actually either primed to actually do the voice because I'm relaxed, or am I fidgety? And I was fidgety at the start because I'm looking for instructions when I'm supposed to kind of go with the flow. But it's also that, it's an offset of that kind of teaching method, where you've got the insights for someone. They're not written down. I'm going to tell you what the insights are. And then part of me is like, wait a minute, did I write that down? Shit, I'm going to ask what the 5 insights again. Right. So I'm always thinking like that. And in the end, it's not so much the 5 insights that you're supposed to be thinking about. It's like the overall process or stuff, how it goes. I don't know. Anyways, it was a good session. Um, you know, I'm hard on myself, like I was too eager to like give myself punishment. And he's like, yeah, dude, I'm not punishing you. So I'm like, always trying to iterate and like, I know, and I fucked up, and then I beat the hell out of myself for it. So I gotta stop doing that.
Well, it's kind of like anything you do. It's ooh, that was the wrong thing to say. Do. The it's like you're going to fail until it feels right. And it's usually
Yeah.
based on the comfort with the material, because that's what I learned when I was doing public speaking. If I knew the material and I knew what I wanted to talk about, I would not necessarily write the speech out. I would write the bullets out that I felt very knowledgeable and comfortable with, and then I would speak from there. But then when you get those questions you couldn't answer, I would just look at them and go, I can't answer that. I'll get back with you, and I would do that. I'd get their name and number, and I'd go find out, and I would call them back, and I would be at least aware or knowledgeable of what their question was, and I wasn't afraid to say I didn't know or how to respond. So it's and then when you're just green in front of a bunch of people, it's just like, I mean, I don't know how people like Mike doing stand up. I don't know how he did it, because I would just like be a nervous wreck. You know what I mean? So.
It feels like that at times. I mean, for me, I like suck at slating out. I always think like I need to do something special to slate out. Like I forget the formality of what I'm doing, but that's the whole point. Forget the formality and just be more fluid.
Dive in.
You know.
Yeah, if the swimmer doesn't think about each stroke, he just jumps in and swims. Easier said than done. I know,
That's
brother.
it, man. That's what the formula is.
Yeah,
No, yep.
sometimes I get so I get so like I hear you guys speak about these areas where you guys are so well versed, and I can't help but think like, what if sometimes the answer is simple? Like the answer is just like what we already tell ourselves, but we're so sometimes we're too smart for our own good, and we don't think it's that. It can't be that easy. So we like make a big deal of things. Sometimes things require a lot of thought. Other things do not. But who am I?
No, I agree with you on that. I mean, that's what I found. There's complexity based on the arena you walk into, because it's it's like their nomenclature, their way of speaking. They know what they're looking for, and if you walk in and you know how to get things done, but you don't know, it's like you walking into the gladiator arena and you
Mm,
don't have a sword, you don't have a shield. You're just walking in because you're a consultant or you're contract project manager, and
mm,
you have to listen and learn how they speak.
yeah.
But sometimes what they're talking about, it's like they go through all this stuff and it's really not that complex. But
Oh
then
yeah.
there are things that are so complex, like working a petrochemical plant. And if you're not a chemically minded individual, you ain't going to touch the process. You got to understand all of that stuff.
Oh
And
yeah.
and I got kicked out of chemistry, so it's like it wasn't my cup of tea.
Mm, cup cup of elements. I'm corny. Sorry. Yeah. No, I definitely agree. Um, Sometimes simpler truths. I had a metaphor in my head. It ran away from me. Mm. I guess. Oh, now I remember. So there's this guy I watch on YouTube that like has like this pride of lions, right? And when he's walking with the lions, he makes it look so easy, right? He's like, oh yeah, you just gotta nudge your head this way. When they do this, you do that. Now that's all very logically simple, but what that actually looks like in real life is very different. So some things are simply logical, and some things are logically simple. I don't know. Logic is a never-ending circle. That's what I've discovered.
Are you okay, Michael? Is she tickling you again?
I, I forgot how much I enjoy hearing Kappa speak. Because he'd be like, a lot of times people forget that 1 + 1 = 2. But then again, if you're adding apples and oranges, do you really have two things?
That's
Maybe it
logic.
depends on the recipe.
It's man's
Yeah, that's
logic.
right.
Once you realize that, I think that you can pursue and pursue, and I'm not jamming this down anyone's throat, but you could pursue and pursue and pursue for so long until you realize that if that route never ends.
Yeah, all paths lead nowhere.
Yeah, I do see that now. And I have who's requesting to speak? Rocket. Oh. Yeah, the logic, man. You could think your way into the most complex thing, and then someone simple. You'll meet someone simple or new, and I'm sure this probably happens in different. Take a seat. How are you, brother?
What's up, Cap? How you doing, man?
No, it's more like.
Imagine being a random listener tuning into that. It's like, oh, wrong room.
I wonder if you did.
Well, you should have heard it earlier today. It was, "You Are My Sunshine" is our alienation song now.
I don't even know that song.
Give it to him, Casey.
You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Oh, please don't take my sunshine away.
I saw a black and white movie while you were doing it. You had a bolo on. You were walking down a wood planked porch, and somewhere in the Delta, and everybody was looking up at you while you did it.
Nice, nice.
Is that the song you guys start to sing? Is that the song? The only befitting rebuttal and applause would be just a symphony of just 100 hmms.
We should use that when people troll us.
Yeah, you guys. I'm surprised you haven't figured out a go-to protocol by now, Michael. Like
It
either
was
that.
a song. We discovered it today.
Oh, you
My
just start
sunshine.
singing the song when people
Dude,
are going.
singing that song when that chick was going off and trolling was magic to me. I'm like, oh my god, this chick's going off and we're gonna sing response her. This is the best.
Man, so you guys have been through the pre-Elon Musk buy and now the Elon Musk buy. So what's different?
I haven't been put in Twitter jail.
A lot of weak-willed individuals are complaining, but we can't really hear them because they sound like kittens. There were some people who said, "Oh no, Twitter's going down, and it'll never go up," but it's been fine.
Yeah.
I just like totally appreciate that he's taking out all the bots because that's like gross and like whatever.
Oh man.
I'll take the bots. It's the people that are problematic.
Yeah, the bots are agreeable. They just yes you to death.
Problematic. So we went up to Kappa.
Not much, man. Been
What
studying
happened?
the Bible.
What made you leave us? Because I know you went from Buddhism, the beginner's mind, to the Bible, and that's around about the time that you left.
Yes, sir. And I continued that journey. I've been reading the Bible more and more. Started going to church again. Like I said, I got sick twice.
Whoa.
And yeah, and I believe in Jesus now.
Wait, you got sick from reading the Bible?
No. I was sick like
He got sick and then survived.
Yeah.
With the Bible. Yeah.
And I just found I found a new faith, and I've had a lot of experiences in my life like that I went through when I was a kid, where a lot of things make sense now. Like I feel like this was where I was always destined to go. Just that jump alone, from the empty cup, the empty mind. Some people get stuck in that journey for a long time, and I'm not saying that's wrong, but it really is the destruction of self over the course of a lifespan, with no real purpose like assigned, and the worship of the creation rather the creator. And I think that when we get back to that, and if we look at the world and we look at what we lost and then what started to go downhill and correlate that, you can kind of see where like man and our knowledge, and just like I was saying before, logic being a never-ending circle, and reason, right? Anyone can reason with anything. We don't have any clear defined parameters on how to actually conduct ourselves anymore. You could explain yourself away and someone out there will find a purpose behind you and rally up behind you, and then you'll have yourself a crowd, and then that will become something of its own, and we'll call that a different group or something. um, but that's all the simpler form of humanity. So I personally believe, like I'm not forcing it upon anybody. I personally believe that Jesus, it was real, that he was the Son of God, and he came down to try and teach us a different way, and we chose to kill him instead of listen to him.
Yeah, the distinction is that Christ wasn't crucified; he was murdered.
Yeah, well, yeah, both of those things. Two in one, but not one, but not two.
I sent you a script if you don't mind reading it. I'd love to hear your voice with it.
Yeah, I do not aim with my hand. He who aims with his hand has forgotten the face of his father. I aim with my eye. I do not shoot with my hand. He who shoots with his hand has forgotten the face of his father. I shoot with my mind. I do not kill with my gun. He who kills with his gun has forgotten the face of his father. I kill with my heart. Wonderful.
Love it.
Wonderful. Yeah, man. I think there's actually I was writing this little thing the other day. I haven't stopped writing too much. But I think God
You
gave me
still
that
talk to
gift
that?
for a different reason. And I said, for the longest time I thought it was reason or faith, but now I have a reason for my faith. Um and I think that there's a lot of logic in the Bible when you come at the world with that as like a as a study guide, and you look at the world, even dinosaurs. Like I've been learning about dinosaurs, like there's dinosaurs in the Bible, guys. Like like they're actually mentioned. They're just called behemoths. They're not dinosaurs. But they are mentioned in the book of Job, which is thought to be the oldest scripture written to this day.
Have you stopped engaging in the sin of premarital sex?
Yeah. Well, pretty much. Um,
Don't laugh.
no,
Why
that's
did you
definitely.
laugh at what? Why did you laugh at pretty much?
Well, listen, I also
That's Ali.
I do believe that I have done wrong in that way. But I also know, my story, man. I lost my virginity to my girlfriend, and this is the only woman
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be with. And I made
That's
that
right.
vow. I made that vow to God. I told him. I said, and this is even before my faith. When I met Dominique, I felt like just overwhelmingly blessed, and I said, this will be the only woman I be with, and if this doesn't work out, then honestly I don't really care for anything else. Because I want to bring back that old generational love, that together and work through things. Because I'm a big believer that you don't find love, you create it.
I like that.
And we all got to work through things, and we're all gonna have downturns and moments where we have wonders and doubts and all those other things. But and maybe not for some. Blessed are those hearts that never wander. But we're all human beings, and once we see the error in that, I think that brings us closer to our Creator. And then once you learn the story of why we're wrong and why we do these things, it just kind of brings the whole thing together.
So, Kappa, when you see the hand up of a white cisgender male, that means time to wrap it up. Go ahead, Casey.
Oh shit! My screen's broken
No,
on
I'm just
that
joking.
side.
I'm just joking. White cisgender male is one of the other songs we have. Go ahead,
Oh.
Casey.
The
You like that
SquareSpace.
one? You like that?
Degen Conversations in a Broadcaster Voice. Season 1, Episode 1.
Season 1, Episode 1.
Give it to us, Kappa.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the SquareSpace, where we hold Degen conversations in a broadcaster's voice. Oh man,
Incredible. So, how do you like church?
I like it.
That's like your new Twitter space on a Sunday.
Yeah. It feels weird, man, because I'm 25 and everyone in my church is pretty much old. So but it's nice because I God really did bless me with a certain kind of mind. I love talking with old people. I love sitting around and hearing what they have to say and their interpretation and like their stories. Piety, I think.
I'm curious, have you gone around any of the different churches to see what the different communities are like?
I haven't. There's one.
Have they
There's.
heard about NFTs? Sorry, go on.
Oh
Because
man.
if we could combine the, never mind.
No. Yeah. 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 That's so. It's eye opening, man. 'Cause I
Are you
almost got.
still
I almost.
interested in NFTs, Kappa? Or you left that life behind?
No. 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 I'm not really into. Not really into that pursuit anymore, so to speak. I was really hungry for money, man, and I was really like focused on that, and that's why I feel like it was all meant to happen. Like I didn't have a choice because I was at a point in my life where I was like, money. I have to get money. I have to learn this so I can make money, so I could do. You know what I mean? And for a good reason. Everyone wants to provide, and but sometimes we get too full of ourselves and we think we deserve the world when we should be happy with what we have. And I found since I've adopted that approach and that way of viewing the world. I mean, man, I'm so happy. I have little, but that little goes so far. And I believe that what was it, Plato who said you know, happy is the man who's grateful with little, something along those lines. Might be paraphrasing, definitely paraphrasing.
Yeah, I think Plato said, "Suck it up, Buttercup." I think that's
No,
he just good
but
man
but
vernacular.
perfect. It was the perfect time.
Yeah, simple brings peace.
Yeah, you said simple or civil?
Simple.
Simple. Yeah. Well, it's
Hmm.
everything complex starts with something simple, right? Even the finest
And you can't spell
skyscrapers.
simple without simp.
Man, I don't like you, Michael. No, I'm just kidding.
As Matthew says,
all,
I'm taking myself down the lister
no,
now.
I feel like your job, Michael, is to like point out all the contradictory loops
Mm.
inside the English language and all these phrases that we use and all these things. It's like you, to some degree, the simplicity and how it's formed.
When you realize that language disguises thoughts, you stop
Mm-hmm.
taking it seriously.
Mm-hmm. Big words on top of big words on top of big words. But when broken down, they all start with one syllable.
Yo, is that the syllable? No.
Oh man. But yeah, man, it's amazing. Like I feel like I found God at the perfect time in my life. I wasn't like going down like the steepest hole like mentally or anything, but logically speaking, I was at a crossroads. I was exactly what you said, like what you said. Just because we know it is doesn't mean we know it ought to be. And that right there is like the end point for science. That's the end point for like most
Yeah,
things. And
isn't it?
you could watch that journey
Yeah,
happen in a
you got
mind
it.
of a scientist, and they reach the end conclusion. And if you follow those guys, by the time they're like 80, they profess their love for Jesus Christ and they say the Bible's true, this all makes sense and this and that, and it's amazing.
Ali was kind of a preacher.
Yeah.
You said
Well, I
Ali?
was. Yeah, I led one of the biggest on-campus organizations in Canada.
Wow, God bless.
Yeah.
I've just recently heard of some of the terrible acts that happened in Canada to the churches there. People were firebombing them, and the your guy, I forget what you guys call it, the prime minister,
Mhm.
like refused to condemn it, and he said it was understandable or something.
It's wild up here.
That's terrible, but we were warned. Jesus said it would happen.
You still believe in Jesus, Ali?
Of course I do.
Of course.
Of course, the great teacher.
And she believes in the horse too.
Hey, listen, you can't not
Hey, don't
believe in
call them that.
somebody
Those
who
are
your
women.
birth date is calculated upon. Yeah. I was born in 1997. 1997. 1,997 years after who?
Judas.
I think that depends on the calendar that you go by.
Yeah,
That's
Right? I
true.
mean,
yeah.
That's
You're
true.
using the colonized calendar.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Listen, I just wanted to feel some excitement for a second, guys. Don't you steal that from me.
Aren't we in the year like 13? Because they count 2009 when Bitcoin was fucking invented as year zero now. That's the new religion.
Yeah. Oh, how much we,
Ooh.
oh, how much we create and substitute.
Oh, the idolatry is
Well,
fantastic.
what was that like? For Ali, what was that experience like leading the? She said she led the missionary, right?
and well, I was planning on going to become a missionary, but life took me in a different direction. But yeah, that's why I had at one point I had most of the New Testament memorized because I was planning on going to Asia, and you couldn't at that time you couldn't take Bibles in.
Oh yeah, we have someone at our church who is stationed in a missionary in, I believe, what's that place called? The place that they're Taiwan. She's actually in Taiwan.
Wow.
God bless her soul.
Oh,
Yeah, and she was saying the last time she came over, she was here about like a month and a half ago, and that was the last time we saw her. But she said over there things were getting a little bit scary.
Yeah, North Korea is like throwing bombs over the island.
Yeah, this is where it always leads with us. This is humankind, guys, on display. But I think it's the wave of thinking found in spaces like this that hopefully surfaces to a point in which can cease control. Because if that control's never ceased, then, well, if you read Revelation, you don't have to really know too much.
There's some interesting parallels I'm just thinking of between major religions and cryptocurrencies. If you
What
think
kind of
about it, like,
correlations?
yeah, well, you know how sort of people follow Bitcoin like it's a religion,
Well, don't we
but
do?
also
Sorry.
I was just gonna say like, how do I say this? You know, like the new cryptocurrencies that come along, they might have some new better features, but it's like, well, they're not Bitcoin, right? It's kind of like
Hmm.
if a new religion comes along today, it's like, well, it's not one of the major ones. It's not Buddhism. It's not Christianity, right?
Hmm.
But in some ways, we're kind of stuck with those old ones. So if something new came along that was uh, better in some form for the people who followed it, whether it resulted in better
Hmm.
quality of life for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a hard one. It's like if you believe it or you don't. So it's not
No,
like, I mean, it's
absolutely,
not a complete
dude.
parallel. But
Dude, it's a tough thing. I'm a 25-year-old. Like by like by social stress alone, I shouldn't believe in what I believe in. But yeah, I get what you're saying. With like the Christianity, these major religions, right? But I always believe in consistency's credibility, right? And if you go to most religions, they all pretty much point to one man definitely existing at one point in time. Um, and if you trace that back and you look at the archaeological findings and you look at the fact that we've even discovered what we think to be, I won't say verified, but what we think to be Noah's Ark, just based off of like the biblical definition. And now we're all taught to think of this story as like this fake story that couldn't be true. But if we find Noah's Ark, I think that scares a lot of people because that means that it's true. And that makes a lot of people doubt themselves in their way of thinking, and which I think that from a psychological standpoint is naturally going to make people on edge to talk about. Because no one, let's be honest, society calls for honesty, but we don't necessarily create the comfortable conditions for people to be honest.
true.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of scriptures and a lot of teachings, if you go and you look at those teachings, if you find one of love, the teachings of Jesus Christ was all about love. He said, "Love your enemy." Love, the message was pure love. And if the world adopted that message, That's what that looks like. This world we speak of, where everyone loves each other and is kind to each other, it happens if we follow one guide's of teaching. Because and I know that's crazy because we look back in history, right, and we see the Crusades and we see all these other people that have done it in such a terrible way and done such terrible things in the name of people, and really all that is a, I think, is a strong index finger pointing at man's mind and logic. And once again, it's not absolute truth. I don't force that on anybody. But it's something I've pondered. Needless to say.
But you gave up NFTs?
That's what it comes back to, right, Michael?
Man, how could you?
I like how you're saying along the lines of like you're not chasing the money anymore, because my feeling of going into like a lot of NFT Twitter spaces where that people were chasing the money, but no one wanted to say that. They were always in it for something else,
Oh yeah.
the
Oh
community or
man.
something. It's like you're not in it for the money. Come on, be honest with yourself.
Yeah, of course. And that's what you see in a room like that. At first you come in open-hearted, right? And you're like, for me at least, it was a brand new experience. I was like a child in a new world, right? I was like, "Oh man, everyone's so nice, everyone's so kind. Look at all this love." And then you realize that it's digital, yeah, but it's still the real world. And people in the real world, unfortunately, especially in a digital age where you can, you know, say a couple words and drop out, or pretend to be something, and mute yourself while you're screaming at somebody. I mean, there's so many different ways to alter your character, as unfortunate as that may sound. But yeah, there's no honesty. No one's like, yeah guys, I'm really trying to get rich. And if everyone was like that and honest like that, I actually think that there'd be more rich people, because everyone would band together and find a common goal. Man, I killed the room. Sorry, guys.
No, it's good to see you again. It's been a minute. I don't
It
even know
has.
if you remember me, but it's good to see you
No,
again.
I do. I do. I'm terrible with names and faces. I come from a very
It's,
big family, and I don't even remember their birthdays sometimes. I'm terrible.
okay, yours hasn't changed. It's still the crocodile. I think that's probably why I remember you
Yes,
from a
ma'am.
You used to have
long
a
time ago.
tortilla chip hat, but I don't know what that one was.
That one got swapped out for this one. Yeah.
But technically, you still have the NFTs, right? Did you mint them or whatever?
Yeah, I think I still do, man. I never even pursued it.
Yeah, I didn't even get one. This guy,
Huh? I don't
I
even
didn't
know,
even get
bro.
one.
I don't even that knowledge left my brain as soon as it came in. I'm like an old man, bro. I don't use my phone anymore. Like it is. Well, I never really
How
have.
dare you?
Yeah.
What
How
about the
dare me?
metaverse and its promise of the return to
Oh,
the Garden of Eden? Are you going to
you know
turn
what
your
that is?
back
Yeah, you
on
just
the
said it
Garden of Eden?
Transhumanism,
You just said it
Yeah, come
perfectly.
into transhumanism.
Yeah.
crowism.
There's a
Yes.
port right in the back of your fucking
Humans
head. Let me just
humans
this
trying to play God.
RJ45 table.
Yeah. Let's create our own heaven, guys.
Let's do it, guys. Do you have a rib?
That's how it started.
Is that how we do it?
People always think that these Mark Zuckerbergs are like geniuses. Don't ever think it doesn't start with like the most simple fucking, pardon my vulgarity, but simple ideas, and then they just have the mass and the dedication to do it.
That's a big jest if only a handful of people can do it.
Hey, listen,
Shut up.
listen. Those are not
You just. What? You
not
can't
every
minimize.
not every Toyota Highlander gets the same miles. Okay.
She's a
Some
good
parts
gal,
cut
that
out,
Toyota.
some
Huh?
parts cut out too soon, and I don't think there's any. I actually think there's somewhat of a blessing in it.
What?
Um, like not doing that, because when you find out like what the Elon Musks of the world, what they sacrifice, what it takes like Simon Powell said, risk can't be destroyed, it can only be transferred. So he transfers something in exchange for that wealth, and that's time and energy spent with loved ones, memories, all that stuff. All that
I
stuff
mean,
comes back
Elon
in
Musk
the
has
end.
10 kids, though.
Yeah,
So,
10 kids, but A dad is different than a father.
What's the difference?
A dad's a dad. A father is someone you call father because they raised you and they were there for you. They taught you. You had moments. You went to the baseball game with them. You felt like you were connected with them. Matios.
What up? Matthias, you are going to be so happy. Guess what? Where Kappa goes every Sunday now.
If I wrote you a symphony.
What you mean to me?
I do. Mass?
Yes, sir. Well, mass church, yeah.
Church. Amen.
Church. Amen. He said church.
He's like, it's not fucking Presbyterian.
How are you, Matios?
Wildin'.
Wildin'? Why are you being wild?
Hey man, you know how it is, bro. It's like nah, I'm actually just chilling, bro. That's all.
Gotta always be ready, right?
Stay ready. You ain't gotta get ready. No, but in all seriousness, my kids are turning up right now, so jumping on each other and all that. They're trying to beat up my wife for, I don't know if it's for limeade or for candy. I don't know.
It's aggressive love.
Yes. I was like, hey, you guys just do you, man. I'm chilling.
Absolutely.
But I bought them Roblox, so they're just chilling with me.
Where's my Roblox, bro?
Hey, give me your give me your, what do they call it? Handle? I was gonna say, give me your at. I'll give you Roblox. I got an account.
I'm surprised
bro.
you don't know that offhand by now, brother.
Oh, it's the same on Roblox. I'll send that shit right now, dog.
I'm
What?
surprised
You
you
have the
weren't.
NFTs in the Roblox first?
Let's go.
God, this guy was on
Hey,
it.
Roblox.
Man, my little brother asked me to set that thing up for him one time. I'm looking at the screen. I'm like, you're in a room, bro. I don't know what to do. Like,
Nah,
I don't know what the heck's going on.
Roblox invented NFTs, TBH.
TBH?
The whole frame.
On the DL?
FRFR, bro. For real.
FRFR.
For real.
OMG.
FRFR.
Nah, man, those kids will rob you blind for that Roblox though.
Oh, nah, for sure.
Oh yeah,
Nah.
there's been stories, man. My mom was telling me this story the other day. This lady let her kid went into her purse and stole a credit card.
Nice.
And, drained them, and like banks had to start putting notifications on like their stuff, like yo, if you let your child spend this recklessly, that's bad parenting. We're not gonna protect you. Like, yeah, because they started. Kid spends $2,000 in a credit card for Roblox. Oh man,
it's like, hey, bro.
Could you imagine the curiosity?
Nah, man. When my eldest was young, he bought the whole Star Wars catalog for like $99.99. I was at work and I got the email, so I called my wife immediately, like, "Hey, babe, did you buy the the Star Wars? You know, because like if she bought it, I'm not gonna sit here and act like a bitch about it." But she's like, "No, I'm in the kitchen." I was like, "Okay." Our eldest just bought the whole Star Wars catalog, but it's cool. You know what I mean? I know he loves them, and we're just gonna vibe.
No,
we're gonna ride. Yeah. Now he was too young to understand, right? But it made me realize, like, oh, that's why they're like, "Do you want to add a password?" Because I was like, "Nah. Like, why would I want to?" It turned out he memorized how to.
It was at that moment.
Yeah,
he knew.
That's how FTX went down.
Got him.
He said, "Hey, babe,
Good one.
don't freak out. Don't freak out."
Yeah, like, no, it's fine.
That was secretly in your voice.
I'd
That's what you
already
were
done
saying.
the work. Yeah. Because I was like, I can't be here pathetic if she bought that. I just got to eat that, you know?
Yeah, you got to find out. Whose horse you got first.
Yeah.
Before you go.
Exactly. So then when it wasn't her, I was like, you know what? I'm already not mad about it anymore. Like, don't react. It's fine. I know
so
better.
What was the conversation like when you got home?
No, it was exactly that. I mean, we sat down. Oh, okay. Tell him 5
He said
minutes.
we played it together.
Yeah, exactly. Like I got home and then, we went through the through part of the catalog.
Oh, oh, it was a catalog, not a. Oh,
nah, it wasn't just one, man. It was like episode 1 through
a series.
6. Yeah, dog. It was all the movies from the 70s to the 80s, and the movies from like 90 whatever to early 2000.
Now, how funny would it be in like 40 years, right? That happens to be something that's worth like $1 million, and that happened to be like the best investment you ever made without even knowing it.
Man, see, if I can turn PlayStation purchases into NFTs, I'm down. But I'm not so sure that's the trajectory that they'll take with my digital content. Yeah, it's like
GameStop will give you $10 store credit
to give them a digital copy of some shit. I would gladly, bro. I would gladly. But it was all digital. Like it wasn't.
You get in-store credit. Oh man,
there was no box, no case, no nothing.
No. Oh well, you have an experience. Whenever you look at that catalog, if you still have it, it'll be a memory.
Oh yeah, exactly. Nah, we put in work. You know what I mean? I made sure that was worth 17 cents per movie. The number of times we watched it.
Made it worth its money.
Had to.
Well, I got a question. What did you? They got a console?
Yeah, it was on the PlayStation.
Okay, I was just wondering because mine ended up coming to me and say, "Hey, can I mod mine?" And he modified it and loaded Linux on it. And
his own computer?
Yeah, on his Xbox.
Oh.
And what he did is he loaded a game and he, got the highest player in the world by doing it. And it's like, didn't you cheat? He says, no, everybody was doing it. So I just wanted to be competitive. And
Let's go.
Just flipped me out.
Doping.
Mechanical doping. Excellent.
Oh man. So what's new in the past 6 months, man? In the world.
My name is Matios, and I'm here on the SquareSpace, where we have Degen conversations in a broadcaster voice. In the last 6 months, I've been doing nothing, or mostly shoving my head up my own ass, learning words I can't pronounce, talking to people I barely understand. And they're really real in their respective industries. But I, like a true fool, ask the questions, and for whatever reason, they answer them. And in the 6 months, I've learned 3 things. One of them is that I really am as stupid as I thought I was. Thank you for joining us. My name is Matios, here talking with Kappa on the Degen Conversations in a Broadcaster Voice, Season 1, Episode 1.
Way to kick it off. Ladies and gentlemen, and we should get a real panel going on here. Like,
hey, you just got to do it. You feel me?
No, you got the gift, man.
Dang, I'll give you 8.75 on that. That's good.
I'm just the bird watcher watching the bird take flight. I can't take flight.
I'm not as good as him, but I'm gonna just say that I've been on an adventure because I said, "Oh, I like AI and I know a little Python." Next thing I know, I was anchored and threw off into the water. And then there was several other anchors tied to me, and I kept going deeper, and I ain't hit bottom yet. So, but it's all been good, been fun.
I wonder if we could get a tally up on the chart for how many people have came in here and had what they thought about the world be destroyed before their very eyes on like a countdown. Because if I that would be a good tell of time since I've been here. Like, how many souls has Michael collected, metaphorically speaking, Lord?
What are you laughing at?
Oh man,
what are you laughing at?
I don't know. It's just a thought of you collecting souls is a funny
I
thought.
could be Shang-Tsung.
I'm not saying no. I'm saying yes.
Shang-Tsung.
Metaphorical.
Yeah. That makes me the most powerful because I'm with Shang Tsung. You're with so and so. So what? I'm with Shang Tsung. He's collector of souls. Yeah.
The collector. The collector. That'd be a good name.
Yeah, it'd be like Dexter, but with souls. There's like these little woo underneath the glass.
Yeah. Crushing dreams and making dreams.
Selecta.
You have to displace the dream, right?
Oh, yeah.
And plant a new one. It's like Inception.
So what's your move to actually collect a soul?
You have to give them power because it's what they really wanted in the first place. And once you give them the power, they're like putty in your hands because they're like,
then you get to criticize them. Now you have the power. Now I'm in your role where you were complaining. Now let me complain and show you what it's like. The never-ending cycle of human kingdoms, fellas. That's just as simple as that.
It's either power or attention. It's one of those two things.
A little bit of both, maybe.
Yeah, you understand.
Yeah.
So the move is if people are like upset, I'll talk to them. They'll swear for a good 2 to 3 minutes, depending on how many people are here. And then we talk to them, and then I'll add them as co-host. And when they get the co-host, it's like, oh, finally, some sort of Twitter space status. And they love the status so much. They're close enough for the embrace.
That's so sad, man. I feel bad, actually.
It is pretty sad, yeah.
Humanly.
It is the playbook.
Like you're a dick, man. Like, I love you for it.
Finally, someone said
it. Yeah, I love you for it. But it's that indifference, But no, sometimes maybe that's what people need. They need to get that icon, that status, just to realize, oh crap, I'm still just a talking bubble. Except this time, my little graph moves up and down when I speak.
This is real, Kappa.
This is real.
There are 3 rows. That indicates status.
No, there's no status here. We're all human beings.
Don't you see the check mark beside Matthew's name?
There's a check mark? Oh.
See?
I made it.
Forgive me, Pharisee.
I made it, Kappa.
Man, you're like a high-ranking judicial judge.
It's not Pharisee, it's far IC. Those people can see into the future.
As far as, yeah, they saw up their own assholes. Frick, short-circuited my brain.
In the last 6 months, I feel
like it's a recap.
Yeah, we should go around. This is Michael, represented by the Infinity Forge, broadcasting from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. This is the SquareSpace, Degenerate Conversations in a Broadcaster Voice, Season 1, Episode 1. The last time we were with Kappa, we were doing the SquareSpace, Season 0. And during that time, we got down to the bottom of the emptiness, the sunyata, if you will, of language. And now that we understand that words are meaningless, we can use them to our advantage. This is Michael, signing off from Hamilton, Ontario.
No signing off.
I thought you were supposed to be talking about what you learned in the past 6 months.
Oh, what I learned in the past 6 months?
Yeah, you didn't just learn that.
What, I learned that before that?
Michael learned that he doesn't like people. That's it.
He knew that from a long time. That's why we work so well.
He learns it every day.
So you would be the only person that would actually know if I learned something. So what I learned,
Python.
learned, Python. Yeah, I learned Python from Web3. That was great.
I learned how to do AI art.
You learned how to do AI art.
Generative?
Yes. We used the computer to generate it. Is that what you mean?
Oh shit! Sorry, I thought I muted, guys.
Pardon my terminologies. I'm probably speaking out of the known vernacular.
Yeah. I don't think anyone knows what these things are. Here, I'm gonna post to the top her latest piece. It's an octopus with an ice cream head.
He's carrying a sundae because it's very difficult to carry so much ice cream.
Well, that's a good point.
Guys, wow, you starting your own NFTs?
Not yet.
I'm supposed to, but I'm.
Now that's nice. I like the all the eyes on the octopus. Are those eyes? Those are eyes. Or lemon fish?
Oh, look at this one with the.
Oh, you like the one with the wings? That one was really hard. You have no idea how hard it is to put a wig on a cephalopod.
That's so good.
Man, it's so clean. You know, artists are.
Well, we could have a throwback where you argue with Bilal. This would be great.
Oh no, no more arguing. I don't do arguments.
Just for old time's sake.
I got into a couple civil disputes in my day.
Oh, get out! Scripture related or not?
Huh? No, not scripture related. I haven't had my share
People
of that.
fight over scripture, dude. It's deadly.
No, I won't fight. That's one thing I promise myself is I won't ever allow my peace to become undisturbed because
Yeah, man, you got to go to the street corner and argue with the imams and
that's
shit.
what I'm
The
gonna
imams.
do, man. I'm gearing up for that. I want to know the word though, like I want to be able to like quote scripture though, because I feel like that's important. I want to know it like
Yeah, you don't want to get fucking dusted on TikTok.
Yeah. I see some of these guys,
That
man.
part.
Some of these guys, they go out there and people.
Oh, it's kind of like a rap battle, right?
Yeah. It's like, well, it's funny because sometimes, you ever wonder like what a debate would look like if those people weren't in suits and ties, sitting down professionally? Like that's what that is.
Yeah.
Like that. So it's just people. Sometimes people scream and yell absurdities, and then a street preacher picks out one thing and starts that as like a main branch of discussion, and then that usually when someone gets confronted on one issue, it's like, okay, well, what about this? It'll be something completely separate or additional. It's never like an ascension or descension from one main branch topic or of discussion.
Right.
It's always just so scattered and those elements. But I have so much respect for those guys, man, because they go into some of the worst areas and they preach the word on the street corners. I follow this one guy who he has stuff thrown at him all the time, and all he does is say, "I love you." Like that's like, and if people can't see the strength in that, like when we all sit here and wonder about a world that exists, it's with those types of people, man. Those types of people, the people who could get stuff thrown at them and look at people and say, "I love you."
You think restraint is the only thing holding the world together?
Restraint? Well, there's Billy Graham once said that some of you are good simply because you can't afford to be bad. And if you're referring to that, yeah.
Yo, that's the hardest shit I've ever heard in my life. The only reason you're good is that you can't afford to be bad.
Mm-hmm. Billy Graham. He's a fellow. Well, he was one of like, I believe he's dead. May he rest in peace. He was one of those last age preachers that like really delivered the message in such a intellectual, empathetic, understanding, human level way. And now people just, it's either you have those people. Don't get it wrong, but most people just want to yell at you and make themselves feel good about themselves. And you wish that people were smart enough to discern that what they're saying and what they claim to be their faith as an operation of life. Sorry, there's a helicopter going over right now. But yeah, almost gone. But yeah, you wish people would be able to discern those people, like those people who are like, you need to do like you're not gonna get if you're trying to get someone to come to Jesus Christ, if you're trying to get someone to look at the world through a different way, through a way of love, the way is not to yell at them about it. The way is not to scream at them about it. The way is not to fight them over it. Why would they want to follow you? You're fighting them. They see that error in the world themselves. Everyone sees it. Some of us talk about it. Some of us don't.
Yeah, Judas wants to get the God side of God out of his sight.
Yeah, and those who here's my little scripture I can quote. Those who.
Oh, here we go.
No, it's what Jesus said. He said those who hate the light love the darkness, because the light exposes their wicked ways. And a lot of people, like a lot of famous.
Is that why cockroaches scatter?
Hmm?
Is that why cockroaches scatter?
Maybe. Maybe we are nothing but worms. Anyone who's been
Oh,
on
I
a
saw that
mountaintop,
post. Imagine it.
anyone who's ever been on a mountaintop has felt that before.
I think that's what Moses saw.
On Mount Sinai, my brother.
So what are you reading right now? What chapter?
I finished the Old Testament.
See.
I did the audio, and yeah, I know, dangerous thing, right? If you say that, and you're like, I finished Old Testament, like, no, you gotta get to the New Testament. Like, like we can't have an Old Testament soul going out into society. It's like, no, I don't believe in all that stuff. It's like I actually think
So
the
it
old
sounds like you're about to have a baby soon.
me
Mm-hmm.
maybe. Um, it would be nice, but given my current condition, I'll let God lead that part of my life.
But it's on the Advent calendar, right?
Oh yes, oh yes. Um, having that is in
I
its own
just
right
imagine little crocodiles.
a blessing. Yeah, man. I'm only 25, man. I gotta travel the world first, but it's a different world,
You're not
because
allowed to travel the world, you know?
exactly,
Yeah.
and it sucks, man, because I don't argue against anyone's beliefs. I know a lot of people, have their reasons, but for me, I couldn't get vaccinated. It just didn't feel right, and now I
How dare
suffer.
you?
Now I suffer, and now you guys could cast stones at me and my
You're
suffrage.
supposed to do your duty towards society by
Yeah, I'm a baddie.
preventing transmission.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
can you say you go to church and you don't actively prevent transmission? How do you reconcile that, Kappa?
Yeah, there's something a little bit more contagious and transmissible than a virus. It's called hate and judgment and evil, and we got to fight that first. Boom.
The social contract states that you must accept. You will assimilate.
Yeah,
Roll up your
yeah.
sleeve.
No, no. I will continue to get COVID and wallow in my suffrage. No, I'm just kidding. I'm healthy. The more times I get it, the more immune I get, right? That's what they say.
I don't want to get kicked off Twitter.
I like Twitter. I like Twitter. Oh man. Yeah, I don't like Andrew Tate anymore, man.
What? He's great. What's
No, I
wrong with
don't
him?
like him. He's a
Why not?
freaking. I don't like what he said about Christianity.
What did he say?
So he said that he doesn't like Christianity because people don't fight people when they blaspheme Jesus' name. And I'm like, you don't like Christianity because you never read the book, man. Like, how could you say that you're mad that Christians don't punch people in the face when they blaspheme their Lord, when if you read the Bible, you know that Jesus did not want us to do that?
But is he Muslim though?
He's Muslim now, but he said he was
Oh,
a Christian before. But ye shall know them by their fruits. He wasn't really a Christian. It's hard. It's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. Another quote. And in the scripture, when Jesus is
but
talking about following him, he talks about counting the cost, um, and to not be of this world and the possessions and things. And when you look at a man like that, it makes psychological sense. It's like, oh, if you really counted the cost, a rich man has a lot more to lose than a poor man.
but beside that one quote, do you disagree with anything else that Andrew Tate has said?
Uh, yeah. It's one thing I kind of realized is that his rhetoric is, um, it really pushes people to be fixated on wealth, obtaining wealth as a form of happiness, and that they'll never be happy without wealth. And I
That's
think,
effective altruism.
yeah, well, really, he says he's against the Matrix, but ain't that the most clever deception of it all? Ain't it? Is he says he's against the Matrix, reinstated by the Matrix, and he supports the actual moral message of the Matrix rather than pretending to look like he's going with the norm, which is now the new norm. And that's psychologically crazy to some, but to me, it makes sound sense. It's the perfect. It's the. I just like that, like his rhetoric. Like now, when I listen to him, sometimes I'm like, you know, a lot of people are going to get lost in life, thinking about money in that way, and assimilating money with their happiness in that way. And then also his kind of his reference to women. Like I said, if you look at his rhetoric and then his conversion of faith, and I don't demean anybody or anything like that, but it makes sense. It's like if you told it as a joke, as like two people walk into a bar and met Jesus. One guy sleeps in a straw bed. The other guy has a Bugatti and and 100 girlfriends. And Jesus says, "Surrender your belongings and follow me." The poor guy, yeah, he's like, "Yeah, you can take my straw bed, man. I'm going with this guy." And then this guy's like, "Nah, my Bugatti. I worked so hard for my Bugatti, man." And that's the world.
So you're in the camp that believes that the meek shall inherit the kingdom of heaven.
Yes, sir. Who's first? What was it?
Would you be upset if Andrew Tate was in heaven with you and you're like, fuck, I could have had the Bugatti?
Nah, no, not at all. I believe some of us are called to do different things. Like there's order in nature, right? Like different beings were called to be predators, different beings were called to be prey. Not in the actual animalistic sense, but more so the order
Dang now.
for the metaphor.
You really read the Old Testament, didn't you?
No. Like there's no. Like
He
there's
did.
not.
Yes, I like the Old Testament, Cap.
No.
I told you I'd vote for you one day.
Jesus crushed the Old Testament when he said, "Let ye who has not sinned cast the first stone." And no stones were thrown that day.
So you think that goes against the eye for an eye?
Yeah. Well, the eye for an eye
stone?
was more so like we have to keep in mind the Old Testament's like a prequel to like the New Testament. It's like this is what God tried with us, and this is why He had to send down Jesus. And before that, we were just pretty much just like, pardon my vulgarity, but just fucking up. Really, we were just constantly like rebellious children, and anyone who's a father could understand that. Like we all go through that phase, and that's what we were doing. So he was a little harsh on us back then, and I think that we were harsh on each other as well. People think we're bad now with like all these new technologies. Imagine us with just like rocks and sticks.
Like to welcome Pastor Dan back to the stage. Pastor Dan.
Pastor Dan.
Yea, let
Father
us
Dan.
walk through the valley of the metaverse. Know this, for thy discourse and thy energy, thy J-song beseech thee. May thy avatar be as no clip as possible, so that ye may flow from space to space with unhindered texture or weather. What's going on tonight, guys? Good. I just got a bunch of shit from another partner who's like, "Hey, work on all this shit." And I'm like, so now I gotta.
What's that?
You wanted direction, so you got it.
Yeah, I know. It's just always kind of like, you know.
Yeah, it's like you're looking at a sea of smooth waters, and someone's like, "Oh, here's the storm."
It is, but I actually, at the same time, I actually think about the syndicate. I think, all right, well, I'll get KC to make that. That's cool. He'll love that job. And then, like, well, so you could probably help me make this. And then, like, Web3 got that. So it's like, yeah. Guys who secretly
Sounds like you
don't
got
know it, but
yourself a
I've
boat
actually
crew.
recreated Big Kitty Labs through the various people I know here, which is very hilarious, I think, in many ways. But it's all good. Yeah, so what's the job? The job is a cannabis association for the Midwest. Of course we need that. Let's do it. So we're going to set up a cannabis association for the Midwest. So we need a basic website, check. And then at some point we'll have to get into newsletter stuff, check. Going to go and check out the grants and see if we can find some money. I was like, hey, man, if you go after grants, you're going to need a minority partner. Don't even look at grants unless you got somebody on your team who fits the minority requirement. And you might say, like, dude, don't put somebody on here who's just a minority just to go after the grant. I know you don't want me to do that, but that's how it's done.
Kappa, you're a minority, aren't you?
You said what?
Probably.
You're a minority, right?
You could be.
Still can't hear you.
You're a minority, are you not?
A minority?
Yeah.
In
In
what
what sense?
degree do you categorize?
In the sense of the color of your skin.
No.
You're not? I'm so disappointed.
Damn it.
I'm Caucasian, bro. I'm
God
Caucasian.
damn it! I've been talking this
Cajun, dude.
entire
What, bro?
time.
But if we're
You're
going by
lying to
religious,
us.
Are you Kappa? This whole
Why
time
did you
I thought.
tell us? Allie, did you
How
know
could you?
that was what?
I thought you were.
Damn it!
White
yo, I've
cisgender
always
man. We
been
got a
We
white
got a
Michael.
white
Michael,
cisgender
you know
cisgender
man.
that.
man.
I believe you know
Everybody
White
that.
now.
Look at it.
cisgender man. We got a white cisgender man.
Everybody now.
You guys thought.
Kappa, you know what I thought, bro.
Go ahead. I'll let you say it. You're the
Damn it!
one. You're getting canceled.
No. I don't wanna.
Got infiltrated.
I don't see race.
Okay, Mathos, stay with me.
Isn't that funny? I
Stay
come
with
on
me,
here as a
man.
crocodile. It's all left up to suspicion.
Now I know how people must feel when they find out I'm brown. They'll be like, "What?
No,
You
now you know what it
motherfucker.
feels like to be catfished.
How
But
dare
That
you?
part.
I got catfished."
you
I
guys
got
psychologically
blackfished.
catfished.
Yo, this
I
guy was
thought you were
capping the whole
black.
time. You realize that? In our face, he was capping.
There was no cap.
Booyakasha.
there was no cap.
There was no cap.
There was no cap,
I
man.
feel betrayed.
It was
I don't
always
know about
just
you
me,
guys.
boys. It was always just me.
Hey,
Man,
I'm going back to listener. Great to see you, Kappa.
He said, "I have to rethink how I view the world."
because I thought I was helping someone, like deserved it, and you're just a regular fucking white guy.
I guess
I
it's a
thought there was
good
like
thing.
a success story here.
Maybe there's
Sunshine, my
well, if
only
it means
sunshine.
You
You
Make
make
me
me happy
happy
when
when skies are
skies
gray. You'll
are
never know just how much I love you. Please don't
man,
take
you guys are so out of
my
harmony right now.
secret
my
away.
sunshine.
You guys sound like a bunch of sleeping babies talking in their
That's our
sleep at
barbershop
different
quartet.
times.
What do you think?
That was terrible.
Fermenting it as an NFT.
You guys gotta get some
Nice.
synchronization now. You gotta have like a recorded, then Michael, you like layer it, digitally do your stuff, and put that all together and make it sound like one of those
Down.
those videos where they all start singing together like acapella. Like the once was a ship that
Like
went to
what
sea.
we
The
just
name of the
did.
ship was a belly of teeth. Soon may the weatherman come to bring back sugar and tea and rum. Yeah.
That's exactly what we just did, bro. What do you even?
Yo, that wasn't like that, man. I'm
Yo, we're
That
like
it
the
practicing.
new
was
Bone Thugs and
literally the
Harmony right
same.
now. Okay.
The new Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Wake up, wake up, wake up. It's the first of the month.
Get up,
No.
get up,
When you guys
get up, get my check and get on.
can start completing your sentences, that's when you know you're there.
Dude, we totally complete each other's
Sentences.
boom.
Boom.
Told you, bro.
And that's the story of improv, folks. Oh man. I can't believe that. You guys really thought I was of a minority. I am a minority though. You guys are right in your assumption.
Well,
But
yeah, that's
I gotta
like I grew
like
up poor as
switch
fuck.
how I
Like
talk to
pardon my
you.
language, but I'm poor as I'm not just white poor.
Man, it's like you have all the advantage and not even using it. You know what I would do with that, Skip?
Yeah, I'm like Theo Vaughn. I'm like looking for that card,
yeah.
It's like,
Yo, Theo Von is my favorite, dude.
yeah, when
Brilliant.
he said I couldn't, oh man, 2 tank tops in the winter, man, that shit, I was like, that's me. Like, I wonder how many little white kids in America did the same thing.
Hey, Theo was the truth. I remember when he dated that light skinned black girl in the real world.
Who? Theo?
Theo Huxtable.
I can't remember her name.
Man.
No, I might be mixing up. Nah, but never. Anyway.
Yeah, you sound like Kappa sounds like you could be the cousin of Theo. You know what I mean? Like came over once in a while and fucked up. Had
That
a bit
wasn't
part.
from the South. I'm a northern Theo. Without the mullet, the more sophisticated version.
A snow Theo.
Yeah, like if Theo Vaughn went to college or something. But I didn't go to college though. I didn't even finish high school, boys.
I'm really thinking about proposing the racial check mark so I can know what kind of race of person I'm talking to.
No, you don't need that, Michael, because now I'm starting to like. You know what came to my mind? I was like,
right, Dan?
Would these guys
Would that
have
make it easier?
befriended
You
me?
can't tell my voice anymore.
Would they have befriended me if they knew I was Caucasian?
I don't know. I guess again, it's probably actually it wasn't by voice. It was just by the way you treated you. I assumed.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that terrible? That's just a fucked up.
Yeah, it's like, yo, what's going on, bro? What you saying? You nice? You feeling good? You
Exactly,
feeling
man. He
good?
called
I'm
you
sweet.
bro. Like
Here's that
racist.
sweet boy. Like,
he was just returning the Kia
and
he
you were just
borrowed.
returning it, right? You returned the serve.
And we thought you played tennis.
Fuck, the real voice actor was Kappa the whole movie.
Today on Racial Tennis, Michael and Kappa will try a round of general slurs while Maddie tries to step in.
Oh man. Dan, hearing your voice is refreshing now when I think thoughts like that.
Oh, thanks, man. It's good to it's good to be here, you know.
I'm like, would they have befriended a white guy? Then I hear you speak, and I'm like, yeah, they got Dan.
Are you the right kind of poor? The poor that matters in a privileged way? Are you the kind of poor that we need on a government contract so we can win the money? Well, I bet you are. Come on down and sign up. Yeah, it's crazy. It is crazy.
That radio voice.
It's kind of fun coming into and using it and playing here. You get to play here a lot, which is a lot of fun. Play here and trying to work on it in more professional ways.
Yeah, you kind of miss it. You know, you don't. Oh, sorry, Jeff.
Yeah,
oh no,
Jeff,
I was just gonna say that just so no one's mad at me later, I'm totally white and I posted photos.
What the fuck, Jeff? Are you fucking?
Damn it,
Twice
Jeff.
in the
Why do you
same
have
day?
that AVI, bro? That's
I was hoping.
Fuck, man.
Next, you're gonna tell me Anne's white.
But I could totally fake it and get one of those grants if you want. But they might see right through it.
Do
it. I can do
it.
I can do a different accent than Buddha.
No, the Chinese aren't as favorable anymore.
You said what?
You have to stay to the Ebonics for this grant.
Oh man, I'm here to break all the stereotypes.
But you're a white guy.
That's what they all say.
It's okay. Part of my hatred towards you is self-hatred because I'm a coconut, right? So, like, I'm an incomplete Caucasian.
It's not you, it's me, bro.
It's not, yeah.
That's what he just
said.
An
all-new version of white.
Yeah. Yeah, stop talking about those things, Dad.
Not your mama's white boy anymore, America. No, it's the kind of white that lets you know you're more than what you think. Not just simple privilege, like you can get a gun and shoot any general person in the area. No, you can hunt like the best of them. Like someone in California, or someone who snorts crack off a stripper's tits. All of these things and more are possible, but first you have to come on down to Mathos. That's right. Maddie and me, our brand new diner, you'll see. Come on up and get a piece of our pumpkin pie, because God knows we won't serve you else. Kind of stuck in that whole, like, are you singing the Die Hard Christmas song? Which one are you singing?
Yippee-ki-yay.
I thought you were singing the Die Hard Christmas song.
Man, I thought
Which one is that?
For a second.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire.
I don't think that's it, though. It's more of
Jack Frost nipping at your nose.
Yuletide carols being sung by a choir.
Merry
And
Christmas.
dressed up like Eskimos.
I've always been a big fan of
That's a
Silver
tough note
Bells.
there.
A turkey and some mistletoe.
Jing, 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 jing.
Hey boys, I'm gonna be back in like 5 minutes.
Nah, Kappa,
I'm staying
stay,
in.
bro.
I'm staying in here though. The icon.
Yeah, he can leave. He just I thought he was diversifying us. He's fucking lying. I put him down as black on the rubric.
He said. He said I checked the rankings.
Dude, you're responsible for all the funding we got because I put you down as black.
You accounted for that last statistic.
How am I going to explain this to the auditor?
The pie chart is not complete.
Yeah.
The pie chart is not complete.
Dude, they really do that though. I think.
Yeah, we need a sweet potato pie chart now. It's 2022.
A yam chart.
Can I get to the yams?
One drop rule. Let's go.
Oh man, some things never
Sorry.
change. But
Yams, that's some
But give
West
me-
African ass shit, bro.
give me like 3 minutes, me brother.
Yuletide carols being sung by a choir and folks dressed
Merry
up like
Christmas.
Eskimos. Everybody knows a turkey and some mistletoe helps to make the season bright. Tiny tots with their eyes all aglow will find it hard to sleep tonight. They know that Santa's on his way.
God, fuck
He's
you for knowing
loaded
that much.
lots of
God damn it.
toys and goodies on his sleigh. And every mother's child is going to spy to see if reindeer really know how to fly. And so I'm offering this simple phrase to kids from 1 to 92. Damn, I forgot how the rest of the song goes, TBH.
Many times, many
Go.
ways.
I assume you just Googled it and were just reading it.
Nah, that was eyes closed singing.
All right,
But
today
I
was
forgot the
good.
last line.
We had some overtime with Kappa. He's given himself over, not to mass, but to a church, which I guess is a good, it's a gateway drug to the true church, right? Matthias, you satisfied?
Step along the path. Nah, of course.
Roa. Okay, that's cool.
It's a journey.
Wait, he's not also cisgendered, is he?
Oh, man, you have no idea. But he did give up premarital sex, so that's a plus.
Kinda.
Yeah, that really depends. I mean, what's on the menu? Like, some of us need to get down, self-included. Honey! The older you get, you can't demand it. You really have to work for it. You know what I mean? It's just that whole notion that... Actually, it works if the age ratio is different, but no, it's usually hard. I mean, it's just... Whatever. Let's get ordered. God damn it.
They know that's sad.
Hey, I need a horror movie. Do you guys know any?
How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
It's a good joke.
That shit was scary as fuck. TBH.
He says I pick too many art house movies, apparently.
Whoa, sacre bleu, mon petit chouchou.
That's what I'm saying. It's like racking in and out of focus and nothing happens for 90 minutes. And you're like, why did we do this?
Le Festival du Camp.
Winchester or Mama?
Winchester or Mama?
I think we saw Winchester.
Oh, are those two separate movies?
Yes.
Okay. I thought that movie was called Winchester.
No.
Damn. Shoot yourself or live with her.
A lot of men choose shooting. All right. Winchester, and then let me open up a new tab.
We saw Winchester, I'm pretty sure.
Did we?
Uh-huh.
What was the other one?
Mama.
Trailer. Horror.
Good choice, though. Winchester was horrifying.
I don't think we've seen Mama. Nice. Cool. Thanks. Watch that tonight.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I took a survey.
Why didn't you tell me toffee it was so good?
You eating my toffee?
I've never gone into your box before, but I just had one and it's really good.
Oh no!
Yeah.
What are you doing to my toffee? You never had this before?
No, I usually.
What?
Well, you usually eat off the whole box before I can get one.
Yeah, because it's so good.
Yeah, now I know why.
Oh no! Wait a minute, I'm pulling it out, and the second tray. Oh.
Yeah, don't worry if you hear scratching after you watch the movie. Okay.
Oh, that's so scary.
Which one, Winchester or Mama?
Mama.
Okay, well.
Yeah, Winchester's guns.
Mama.
Huh?
You don't know what a Winchester?
A Winchester is a way that you tie your.
No, that's
tie.
a Windsor.
Oh, I thought that was a Worcestershire.
That's a sauce.
That's a sauce.
Oh, I thought that was the
That's for gizzards.
You uncultured. This is why we need the white people.
That's a quote. This is why we need the white people. That's amazing.
There it is.
At the end of season 1.
This is why you don't let me have the mic.
Yeah, I had to censor you last time.
I'm sorry, I wasn't realizing.
It's the broad shoulders thing. Web3 is a bad influence on you.
The broad shoulders shining through.
What do you think she's Atlas?
Well, ladies can't have broad shoulders. Come on.
Yeah, Web3.
They can.
Why you gotta say it like that?
No, I was defending everybody. I was like, deadlifting.
Democrat as he thinks, eh? Yo, I bet this guy acts like a Democrat for his friends, but votes conservative. Watch.
Democrat in the sheets, but
yeah.
Republican
Who are you talking
in the
about?
sheets.
Matthews.
They're making fun of me, Web3.
Matthews votes conservative, but has
just
to put
because
on a
I
liberal
defend
face.
deadlifting and swimming women makes me not. You know what? Hey, shout out to the DNC.
So Matthews is a closet D. Is that what you're saying?
Closet R with a hard R.
Closet R.
Oh, okay. I have an eye on my forehead. So.
Oh man, I coughed into a choke. The horn noise is too much. I mean, I laughed into a choke.
Hey,
you can't breathe it. Just smoke from your cigarette.
Kappa, did you know that Mattios is a D in the streets, but a hard R behind the curtains of a ballot booth?
Dang. Are you kidding me?
He's like cosplaying as a Democrat.
This is how you guys want me to talk? If you think I'm white.
See, finally, this is how we get the funding, right, Dan?
See, I come on here talking like my regular self, and you guys want me to sound like this, like I'm George Bush.
I was about to say that's a
Bart,
great
we're gonna get
Texas
that
accent.
grant.
Actually, that was
I'm
a great
George
Texas
Bush.
accent.
My fellow Americans.
That's not North Texas with the Friday.
You gotta sound like you're crying. It's the soft undertone of the Southern heart.
The Texas ain't part of the South. They're the Lone Star.
Wait a minute.
I'll tell you what.
You're confused. It is
Web,
very much a very rock solid western state of the South.
Web3, I say this with all respect. I don't care what they say. They're lying because that's recent. They did not say that between
I
like
had
18.
to eat, sleep, and drink Texas history and Mississippi history.
Yo, if
And
you
between
could walk,
the two,
if you could walk
Mississippians
15
died
minutes,
at the Alamo fighting for Texas, so they're cohorts in the South. Okay,
Matthews is upset because he lost Tesla to Texas from California. So
if you
he's
could
still
walk
there
in,
for that one.
if you could walk into Texas from Southern America, then I think, yeah.
I mean, look. Nah, I can't even.
He said, "No, I'm just."
Yeah, nah.
Did you hear what he said though? That throwaway line, how to make an impression of someone from the South, you have to pretend like you're crying.
Why would you say that?
Now I can't hear it.
Oh no, this is too much. I'm going down to listener. I
No,
can't do this, guys.
I'm crying right now, bro.
Got me talking reckless about Texas, and it's too much.
Oh man,
I have honorary citizenship. Okay.
It's always weird when you're doing accents and there's someone of that accent. You know, like you ever done like a British accent and then someone British hops in the room. And they're like, "Hey, that's not how we talk. Yeah, that's not how we talk." And then in it, bro. Yeah, in it. Oh man, they.
Hold on, can you at least, Matthews, give me a this is reality?
Welcome to reality. That's the thing, bruv. You see, America, all you cucks.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. Keep going.
You got to go.
Bruv.
Do we have a crocodile hunter though? Like a Steve Irwin, like a.
Or you think about Crocs, not cucks?
No, but Peter did a good job with Jesus. I mean, you know.
Amen.
I thought Kappa's British accent sounded a bit South African.
No, me brother. That is not the African. This is the African voice.
It was a little Trevor Noah.
I do not know the way.
Do you know?
You could be like a bartender in Wakanda. Yeah, I like it.
I'm pretty good with the accents.
Do you know the way?
Yeah, well, I used to we used to do this thing. Well, my brother used to freaking smoke before lunch at work, and I used to call it the pre-lunch chill session. And we used to have this thing. I'd be like, "Welcome back, me brothers, to another episode of the post-lunch chill session. On today's episode, we will be." And I forget what I used to say after that, but that's
so. This is what white people do when black people aren't around.
Oh dang! I shouldn't have told you I was white. You see all those thoughts that come in your head now. You've been touched by the serpent.
There it is,
brother.
everyone.
You've been touched by the
Your
serpent.
white card has been pulled.
You heard? You saw it. Hey, KC, do you do that too before lunch?
Man,
imitate Africans.
Don't talk about it.
Now I can't be co-host anymore. Now I can't be.
I see your true colors shining through.
Fucking
see
color me that over there.
You see my heart, brother.
Nah, yeah, I just been singing that rendition of that song
He's
for the
like,
last 4
now
days.
you guys are trying to recall the moments. Like, does he like
This
mayonnaise? Does he put did he talk about mayonnaise a lot? Oh man, I should have known.
Don't tell me, bro.
No,
Nah, I never
hate
understood that
mayonnaise,
one.
bro.
Nah,
I hate
see,
mayonnaise.
yo, I gotta deviate from the culture on that one. Granted,
Yo, but you
No, because
find out
I
that
thought you were
some of
I
these
thought you were
things.
one of those black guys who like discovers audiobooks and then starts using words wrong.
hey, fuck
Like
you,
that's
dog.
all
I
I thought it
told you
was.
about my 2 Audible credits today. How you gonna bring that shit back up?
Like I have one free
My bad,
credit.
my
I
bad.
was asking Ali what I should get. Any suggestions on an audiobook? I'm
What
reading
is
Stephen
life?
King's Fairy Tale. What is life?
What is life by Ernest Schrodinger? Don't read these fiction books, man. Anyway,
Read
I
the book.
apologize.
Read
Oh,
Answers in Genesis.
Answers in Genesis, huh?
Yeah, it's actually like a YouTube channel. They do a lot of breakdowns. They have this museum. It's called the Ark of and then they have another subtitle. But
Where are they at again? We were talking about them the other day.
were you?
Yeah, about the ark that they built. Where is that at?
Yeah, the ark that they built's modeled off of the one found in Mount Ararat, in the Turkish mountains, which we did find, by the way. It was discovered by Ron Wyatt, and then
Is he a comedian?
Where did they build
Ron
that?
White, the comedian?
No, Ron
Yeah, he's a
Wyatt.
great comic.
Ron
I'm
Wyatt.
blocking all of you.
Hey, he drinks. He has that whiskey. It's
Yeah.
fucking
They're
hilarious.
making a bunch of Jewish people just facepalm with the.
No.
I'm going down and listening.
He came to El Dorado.
I'm
and
so
had a
sorry,
show
guys.
here.
Did you see him live, Webster? He's probably amazing.
You guys are wrong.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
Man, you guys are turning me into a martyr.
And the thing is they just passed the ordinance where you have a section of town. It has signs, no liquor past this point.
Nice.
Oh wow.
And so the interior of the square and part of the entertainment facility are surrounded so that you can, because Arkansas can't have open container, and that way they allow the open container. So
Loopholes. How do we get here?
You were talking about how to
black guys who listen
sound.
to audiobooks.
Yeah, that's how
Yeah.
it started.
I want to
And
know
then
how you
tater
got
salad.
hooked into doing spreadsheets.
Someone's clipping this and showing this to a class of like med students, like learning psychology. Like, this is what ADHD looks like, guys. Like, all of this happens in someone's brain.
No. Someone's going to listen to this 200 years in the future and wonder
I
what the
don't
hell's
think we'll
going on.
make it that far.
It's gonna be on the blockchain, bro. It'll be there forever.
No.
The world sighs to me in a long rhythm, reminding
What do you-
me of the peace and indifference of immortal things.
Be blockchain, the Prince of Blockchain.
Yeah, this level of audio takes almost no storage space.
Audiobooks are so cool. I mean, freaking YouTube in general, man. Such a cool
YouTube
tool.
University.
Yeah, you once said it. Can't say it better. The University of YouTube. You could really, in any niche, freaking just explore.
Get the PDF, you can just have Python read it back to you.
All this problem is nowadays is speaking from like a generational standpoint, is people's attention span starting to be kind of distorted. So it's like, I feel like the audio and visuals senses are starting to be like more activated than like people actually sitting down and reading, like long form copy, even short form, anything like that.
Yeah, it's like boiling the frog to becoming illiterate.
Huh?
Yep. Reverting. we think we're moving forward in time because we're evolving our technology, but we're actually it's a funny. You want to look at it as a cosmic pun. That's what it is.
So is holding the book and turning the pages more important, or is it that you can actually read the content in the book through normal visual? Which is the most important?
It's the idea of what is atrophying, right? If you don't use that reading muscle.
Exactly. No, well, I think it's the reading, and it's the it's in part reading, imagination, and attention span. It's like
Yeah,
if I
go
had
ahead.
to guess, it would be a collective of those things. But
That's the reason why Michael has a pad beside his computer, and he writes down little notes on Post-its,
Yep.
and also on his pad. He's got to have that pencil or pen to
So,
connect that thought, to place it to the page, and then it sticks in his head.
you ever try doing a to-do list on a computer? That shit never works.
No, it doesn't.
Never in my life have I figured out how to get a to-do list to work on my computer. It doesn't feel real. There's no sense of accomplishment. I need the check mark.
Yeah,
I need to reward myself with a check mark.
Tomorrow I'll send you a picture of the 2 notebooks that I use to write creative things in one, and normal journal type entries and stuff like that.
But you know, I feel like especially like my generation and down, we kind of lost that. Like I could write with like I'm good with persuasive intentions, and I've seen other people write. They're good with like articles and very like uh text to text type relative material, like where they're writing on a subject material. But when it comes to like imaginative stuff, I feel like I mean we're going back in time to find the greats because we don't have any more authors writing things like that to this day. Which I think could be an indication of like that part of the that we're talking about, like that imaginative writing, like that connection between writing and imagination.
Yeah, I like reading old stuff too.
Yeah. Well, you find that stuff appeals more to your senses, or no?
Yeah, I mean, you compare it, you look at like writings 1700, 1800s, and then they kind of change in the late 1800s to the early 1900s,
There is
and
a
then
shift, isn't there? From
yeah,
like the writings in the 18th century.
yes,
They're like all of the answers were in the 18th century, and they figured
It's
out how to misunderstand them
yeah.
slowly.
It's almost like all the genius died. All the geniuses died, like in that realm.
I wouldn't say the genius died. It's just that it was what was
like the norm for them.
Yeah, it changed. The focus changed
Yeah, that makes
based
more
on
sense.
and again, me and Matthews had a discussion on this on classical teaching and the change in the educational, especially in the U.S.
Oh yeah,
and and the change that evolved over from the early 1800s to the early 1900s, and then the change from there. And I mean, there's multiple sequences that the focus of how to teach and how to educate that you walked away from. It kept chopping away at things that would make you think and see
critical thinking.
logic,
Yeah,
right? That kind of
they
thing.
taught critical thinking back in the day because that was more.
Well-
that was an era where creativity was actually like on the backs of humankind. Where like where what we have today was built off of the backs of that very own creativity we're speaking of right now. And that's why that was like it was kind of like there was a supply and a demand. Jeff, you don't have to raise your hand, brother. If I talk and I don't see you, it's because my phone's messed up.
Just jump in, Jeff.
Jeff.
Jeff, put that goddamn hand off down right now and speak.
And he
You're
just wants
being
a high
rude.
five.
High five.
He went to sleep.
The optimist, the pessimist,
Don't wake him
the
up.
neutralist.
It sounds like a pretty good idea. I might go to bed soon. I'm tired.
Jeff, you don't. Jeff, you can talk. Or is me saying that from a place of privilege?
I think I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm gonna let KC be me for the next hour. If you need anything, just talk to him.
Good night, Dan. It was nice seeing you again, brother.
Yeah, man. Good talking to you.
Good night,
Absolutely.
Mr. Dan.
Night, man. Good night, sunshine. You're my favorite. You'll always be my sunshine.
So I was talking with my mic off. I didn't realize it. So
Oh yeah, we
I
were
was
speaking.
saying, I was trying to say that you ever think that the voices sounded more articulate in the past because there was a barrier to entry of the voices you're hearing are the articulate ones, that you're not hearing the other people speak because they didn't have the opportunity to be heard into the future.
What do you mean? Could you that's kind of like cryptic.
Well, the further you go back, the more likely you're to read the manuscripts of educated people and the people that were able to express themselves in a way that
I got you.
would move forward into the future.
Like what we're reading.
So
I got you.
yeah, you're thinking, people sounded so much more articulate and well read back in the day, but you're not hearing from the illiterate masses at all.
Yeah.
Maybe in song or legend, but what's being written down that you're reading now is
yeah, and
that's
I wasn't
the upper
speaking.
crust.
I wasn't speaking like personally from my own experience. Like I don't actually prefer material like that. I was just speaking to like in curiosity to like someone who does, if they've observed a change in what that field would call a genius, and I always find those types of things as like food for thought,
Oh, I agree.
But
I mean,
but yeah, more so like the imagination, like not necessarily the literature, the doctrine left behind, but I absolutely agree. Like what we're reading today is going to be what was left from those in a place of authority, people that were obviously more educated than the masses, which shouldn't be representative of what the common norm of education was at that time. I definitely see that. But what I was speaking more so towards was the like the imagination of a human being and the connection between like the demand for that in the society versus the like destruction of that in the society. One was like that period.
Carl Sagan was brought up in the chat a few days ago, and he's a good example. Like not too long ago, people like Carl Sagan, big imaginations, trying to change the world, and now we're just worrying about like what dumb thing Elon Musk said yesterday.
Exactly. And once we see that, that's when we start to realize like, oh no, we've we kind of steered on the wrong path, and like these people, like we could sometimes even subconsciously idolize people and respond to everything they say, talk about everything they say. It's almost borderline worship. When people, I don't care who tweets in a day. I don't care who took a shit
Yeah,
today.
we used to worship Steve Jobs.
Yeah, and now we, Republicans worship Trump, Democrats worship Biden, the Chinese worship there. You know what I mean? Like it's all in the place of, we dance around the terminology worship. Like well we see worship as like hands on knees, but now like that's the physical representation. What about the spiritual representation of that? What's going on in the spirit? And that's a conversation between men of faith versus atheists, the spirit and spirit science and the proof of that, non-proof of that. But I haven't studied enough in my relative experience to go down that realm, but I will, hopefully.
So you're about to start the New Testament now.
Yeah, around the New Testament. I've been listening to the Bible. I actually listened to the Old Testament more than I read it, and actually listened to some parts like more. There's a lot of important things, but my mind like this time around, the first time in the Bible, I want to read it, and like right now I'm like from like a moral perspective, and like kind of take that and see what the spiritual lessons are, and then next time I read it around, I want to go into it and I want to break down the Bible for like the factual and like the logic and like tying that in, because there's people even to this day, like you could find people who can use Old Testament scriptures and go verse for verse and explain to you exactly what this means in science. I'm not that guy. Those are like the more gifted individuals, in my opinion, the people that can take the Bible, look to the world, and draw from the context and say, no, this is what really happened, like Noah's flood. How can we use that as an indication? If you come at a pile of bones, say you find a fossil, right, and you come at it with the Bible, you can say, okay, this animal was probably killed in a big flood. But if you come at it from a science mind, you may say, well, this animal probably died here. It decayed in the sun. There might have been a flood here at some time. Who knows? And then those two people argue. Same evidence, two different pre-bases.
Interpretation.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
really the mind. It's really the mind, and if you get a book, right, and they say this book is like the story of Earth and like the story of like humankind, right, and then you take that book and you try to make sense of it through that lens, I feel like it makes a lot of sense. If you look at it from the science mind, there's just so many unanswered things, and there's so many. Well, what about this? Well, what about that? Well, what about this? Well, what about that? And it's just a testament to like kind of like the metaphor I drew of like just digging, and we dig and we dig and we dig and we find new ground, and we say, "Oh, look at this! This is new ground." And then we give that shovel to our kids, and then our kids dig and they dig and they dig and they find new ground, and they say, "Look, we found new ground." And no one ever questions, "Why am I holding a shovel?"
That's what the scientific process is, though. It's what your current understanding is, with the knowledge that your opinion will have to change because there'll be new evidence. You
Oh
can never
yeah,
really just settle on one thing.
no, but
I
I'm
mean,
saying is
yeah, I know people sometimes you can have faith and have faith, but
hmm
sometimes people try to like prove their faith with science, and it ends up eking into pseudoscience. And sometimes you shouldn't mix the two
Yeah. Well, there's
processes.
real factual bit. Like I said, I'm not the guy for it. I could probably point you in the direction of people much well versed that have spent their whole lives doing exactly that, like in a fair manner too. Not jumping to conclusions and making radical things, explaining things in a sense in which a regular Joe Schmo like you and I can sit down and be like, no, I could absolutely see this. I can absolutely see where the science correlates with the Bible and what they meant. Like I said earlier, I don't know if you were here. There's people. One of the biggest things is right. Well, dinosaurs and humans didn't exist at the same time. Well, why do we think that? We think that because dinosaurs were so big and so terrifying that we couldn't. There's been no way. But the most biggest and terrifying dinosaurs were vegetarians. They didn't eat meat. We would have been no threat in their eyes unless provoked. So yeah, we could have absolutely inhabited the world at the same time. And I don't think the world is 65 million years old. I and I know that's up open to discussion, and science will reveal that over time. I truthfully do think it's not my place right now and the time in history we are right now to put my flag in the ground there. You know what I mean? And be like, yeah, this is the hill I'm willing to die on. No, we have to be open minded too. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the SquareSpace, where we have Degen conversations in a broadcaster's voice.
Who has the train set?
Yeah.
That's me. I got trains, helicopters, man, stars, beautiful night sky, all in a
But
little
the
spot called New
yeah.
Jersey.
Now, the one thing that I look at is that, you look at science, you had Galileo, you had Copernicus, you had a lot of things that were transitioned from, previous thoughts and proofs, and then you bring it to more modern point and you accept
Mm-hmm.
certain teachings or standards when there are other ways of looking at it that are, a different insight. Like psychology, you have actually two fields of psychology. One is the acceptable Fordian, pathway, and then you have one that's based more in, you know, just a different perspective. But you don't hear
Yeah,
of any discussion of the alternative. Everything, they choose one and say this is the only one because he had to be right, but there
Yeah,
was no proof that he was right. and
absolutely.
and so there's a lot of things that have been, when it comes to science, like you say pseudoscience, there's a lot of things that they
Oh, I
accept
didn't.
today as truth. No, not you, but it's just a lot of things that are said today are accepted as truth without proof. They said,
Mm-hmm.
oh, we've calculated it, but still that's not a proof. Proof is a physical observation that what they calculated. Here's the physical world that does what they calculated, and that's
Yeah.
what they've found. Like with the universe, when you take some of the calculations, like I think forget the doctor's name, but he pretty much is working on an IQ quotient, which the dark matter was fudged in a lot of different situations in the universe to make it seem right. But when you actually run the calculations and do things, it doesn't act the way it should act. So there's more to dark matter than what they made it work, which means that there's something missing in it, but they accepted that as being the premise. So if there's things along those lines, it's like that will be looked back on once they get to a point that they have, brought it to a proof. But it's like anything. When you match something based on I've scanned it, turned it into digital form, I have a digital form to match it, and then I have the software to match those two up. But yet I could still have false positives or false negatives on the results because that software or the AI looks at it. Well, with AI, it gets a little bit better in clarity, and you may get closer and closer to the 100%, but you'll never reach that 100%. I think so. It's kind of, I don't know.
Well, I think
my
that's why dark matter and dark energy were called dark matter and dark energy in the first place, is because they were an unknown. We didn't know what they were, so they just knew that they had an influence or whatever. Something was influencing outside of our knowledge. So we just had to say, well, we don't know what that is. I mean, we still don't know why you can move through space and time, but not both, because your clocks slow down when you're moving through space. It's just we don't know that yet. It's just
Well, yeah, certain things get
we can't
uncovered.
experiment it. So
yeah, but that's where eventually they will be able to experiment, and they will, they will find that the lot thing as things grow and you learn, there are errors that are corrected or perspectives are changed, and it's either because of fact or because of some other, like string theory and multiverses, and you get into that whole realm and the quantum level. Those guys, it's just they're just like Bitcoiners. They tell you that's the reality of it, but how can you tell
yeah,
me that? How can you I
the real
calculate it?
physicists
Yeah.
are like physical evidence-based physicists who are like, you can experiment with the math over there, that's fine and great, but show me the evidence.
Yes.
There's a lot of physicists that are like that, and
yes,
it's like they're still trying to figure out quantum gravity, because you have these two completely separate things that they need each other, and like maybe trying to find quantum gravity isn't the answer. Maybe there's another answer to like why you can't reconcile those two things.
Exactly. Do you guys ever think? Maybe... I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna ask you. Do you ever think that there's some things we just don't really like need to know? Like it help. Like yeah, it'd be nice to know, but like there's some things that like maybe we shouldn't be worried about so much.
That the man's pursuit, and that'll be based on his pride in my book to
Absolutely.
pursue to pursue
glory
down
of fame.
to the end. And the thing is that even though they pursue what connects every atom, they'll try to find the connection between the atoms, what holds it together. What is that thing that holds it all together? They can say it's this, but they really don't know what it is.
And then in 100 years, someone comes along and disproves everything that guy said. That's science from what we've seen now, and that'll continue to happen. We think, and a lot of us agree on scientific norms without being scientists. Like some things we're told and just accepted as truth, and we don't really know. Like the theory of evolution is pretty much taught as truth now, and we don't have any. That's called a theory. That's not a truth. That shouldn't be tossed around like, yo, we could prove this verifiably. We can't. These are all just speculative things when we look into the past.
A scientific theory is a little bit different than how we usually use the word theory. It's important to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
We have a theory of gravity,
but we're talking about populations, though, like a population's
we don't have intelligent falling.
Yeah.
My bad,
Yeah.
brother.
Yeah, no, I agree with gravity. It's something that they've observed. They don't know, they have a grasp of it, and they can they can calculate based on the gravity and pretty much what they've been able to determine in other places to estimate the gravity. That same formulation gives you the results that you weigh on the moon. I forget how much it is. You're 100 pounds. You weigh 15 pounds or whatever the difference is. And so, those kind of things I agree, but those are closer to being able to physically observe. What causes or creates the gravity is the piece. Again, it's that connective bond. It's like the electronic field around the earth that protects it from all kinds of radiation has a play in it. The movement has a play in it. It's like if you listen to the flat earthers, and let them talk, that, and it then a whole bunch of other things
Everyone's got
don't
a
add
science.
up. Yeah.
Everyone's got a science.
It doesn't add up, but at the same time, they're going to have that thought, and they're not going to let go of it.
And they'll teach that to their children, and then their children,
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a basis.
It's the birth of ideology.
Yeah. And it's the truth. Truth is the truth is like, they say is the light, and the light is energy. We're energy. So if you stand in that truth and you never wander from it, then you cannot be affected by other things. Things will, touch you, but in reality, you will be, part of that energy. And it's just like in the Christian faith,
It kind of sounds like you're describing Jesus.
Yes, and that's well, it's God. It's the Trinity. It's all of it tied together.
You are you familiar with like the Trinity and the way that works?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like the God, and then the part of the like three but one. Yeah,
three but one. That's right.
It's kind of been hinted at, and it's even hinted at in our DNA. Even in Hebrew, the first verses of the Bible are said to have been conspiracy hat to be the writing of our DNA as human beings, which would be an interesting thing if proven and given enough attention mainstream wise. But there's also a lot of things that get shut down like that. Like we all know that certain sciences are unexplored because of mainstream's tendency to flock towards what people have already accepted as normal. And there are certain private interests in this world that protect those agencies from the unexplored, and we all know what those things mean as well. So there's probably so many things, which is why, like I always simplify it to, we're gonna dig and find new ground. That's what we're gonna do as human beings. We're just gonna dig and find new ground, metaphorically,
Yeah.
I know that may sound like depressing, but it's not too depressing because we find beautiful things. Like we find medicines that can cure the ill. We find ways to help like decrease suffering on earth, and there's a lot of good people who use that for good things.
Well, that's when actually, if you take it back to just the individual and his own journey and his path and understanding, you have an acceptance of the beginning and an end. And once you understand that that's part of it, then you either evolve into belief, and you follow and live that belief, or you in whichever direction, be it religious or be it secular, you're going to do it, and that's going to be the choice.
Can I ask you something? Have you ever seen someone this is something I picked up on when I was a kid. So I grew up, my parents weren't Christians, no one around me was Christian. Nobody would really preach the word of God too much. And I went to funerals, right? And And when I saw people die, I saw a whole bunch of people getting together and holding each other. And you know what they said to each other? It's okay. They're in a better place. All of us have this feeling. All of us have it in us. We know that when we die, we're not just turning to dust and that's it. We know that there's something beyond this. We turn from that in life because that's uncomfortable to think about. And that's normal because we're human beings thinking about death. That's a pretty tough thing, right? But it's still something like, once again, we go to all these other areas which are a little bit more comfortable, make us feel uncomfortable, but just enough, that micro push, and just enough for us to make us feel like we're doing something. Busy bees.
Yeah.
And it's not,
It's
I don't
it's
know,
a
this
journey
sounds,
to me. It's a journey of understanding and learning,
oh yeah.
and that's in the piece, the end piece is to you don't fear it, and it's
How do you
and
not
you
fear it? How do you not fear it without not knowing anything? Because it's natural for the human brain to fear what's unknown.
but the thing if you know that it's an actual event, you shouldn't fear it
Exactly. That's what
because
I'm
it will
saying. That's what I'm
come.
saying. That faith is real.
Yeah,
It's in us
yeah,
all, whether we like it or not. We all,
yeah,
what I was using to describe that was me as a kid being at that funeral, right, and
yeah,
seeing those adults that didn't believe in God, didn't talk about God ever in their life, be like they're in a better place. They're in a better
yeah,
place, right? It's what we naturally say to console each other,
yeah.
which yeah, we can say if one or two people say that to themselves, that's bullshit, right? But we all do it. We all do it. We all have this feeling, and even philosophers predating Jesus wrote about this. Plato, I think he was predating, but not too well with the history timelines. But even he said, "Have you ever sensed that the soul is immortal and doesn't die?" Maybe, and that was prior to our understanding and our written records to go off of. But um, we can choose to go and pursue the world through our own eyes and observe it that way. But I do think that even then, in the end, we all typically, close enough to the end, reach the same conclusion.
Sometimes you just need a fistful of mushrooms to help
Well,
you at
even then,
the
those are
end.
God's little hints that there's something way more than just the body, right? The mushrooms, all these little psychedelics. These are just little trickles. Like, hey, don't think you're just flesh. Like for those, for the people who don't want to believe in Jesus, for the people who don't want to read the Bible, people have spiritual experiences, and that makes them open up. And then later on in life, they usually tend to become a faith because they're already open to the notion that a world exists beyond the one that we could see with the naked eye.
If only we
And when you're
weren't
starting
so
with that,
ashamed
you're
of our
kind of coming
nakedness.
up from. You said what?
If only we weren't so ashamed of our nakedness.
That is so symbolic, figuratively and physically, man. Um, yeah, it's the truth in the way, man. I won't ever hate on anybody or anything like that. I promise. But I also won't shy away from my own like delight and excitement, I guess.
That's good.
Yeah, we need it, man. That's where we went wrong as a society. We stopped. We stopped teaching about that God, and if you want to call it that, and you want to say the Bible, whatever. Once we got rid of that, look at society. At least Western society got rid of that, and now we have superheroes and people doing all sorts of weird stuff with their bodies and minds. And
And professional football on Sunday as a gladiator sport. So
yeah, yeah. Oh man, I
It's
love
like
the way
hot
you just
wings
said
and
that.
circus.
He just said, "Oh man, I gotta quote you." Professional.
Well,
Can you say that one more time?
professional football it's a gladiator sport. I mean, that's what they did in Rome to pacify and divert the attention.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want them worshiping. They don't want them,
No,
secular wants them to be, occupied with the battle and with injury and with all kinds of emotional feedback.
no.
So,
And then when you look at the world and you say, well, how could there be so many bad people in control and so many wrong areas? And you could look at the world from the optimist perspective, which I tend to flock to intrinsically. I never really had a choice about that. I just kind of saw the good in the world. But even when you see the good in the world, if you look at the good long enough, you start to see who's holding down the good, and then you look at those people, and then you're like, well, man, like, how the heck did they get there, and how are they staying there, and how do we get them out of there? And yeah, what does that look like, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of people. Go ahead, Jeff.
Oh, no, I was going to say, you mentioned that people turned away from learning about religion, and that has had consequences.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's maybe not just a turning away from religion, but they didn't turn towards something else. They turned towards filling their time up with other things. And I
Yeah,
think that some people that are skeptics can find all in the endless cosmos and the wonders of the scientific method, and how they can discover things in that way,
definitely,
and not feel any less, like the world isn't any less
less greater,
amazing.
any less
Yeah,
greater or amazing.
there's so much out there that we don't know.
Oh yeah, I think
And that
honestly, I'm sorry.
if people didn't turn, they went from religion, instead of going from religion to figuring out from a different way of learning things, they
Yeah,
just stopped learning things.
and that would be like what you just said right there. Let's discuss that, shall we? Like turning away from God, right? So you said we didn't. It's not we just started doing other things. Not that we turned away from something. Well, in order to turn to something, you must turn away from something. And in this case, we did turn away from God. We stopped teaching that as much, and you cannot.
We have science now. We don't need
Exactly. We
God. We
substituted.
found the God
It's
particle.
it's in us. It's in us. We have a dog can't serve two masters. We either serve God or we serve science. And I actually bring something different to the table. I think that science serves God. I think it's us marveling in His creation, and the study of, because and I use this as a metaphor, right? If I were to place you in the wilderness and give you a whole bunch of ribbons, and you were to walk from one tree to and mark a path, right? Could you call that a path if you don't even understand the woods that you've been placed in? You're still lost. The path isn't a path. You don't even if you don't understand the wilderness. And what I think God and religion does is it gives that understanding of the wilderness. Love you.
Yeah. Maybe some people would say that the wilderness could be explored and
Yeah,
probed, and
but
that path
bad
can be
things
trampled
happen in the
down
wilderness,
with
brother. And sometimes
slowly expanding knowledge.
yeah, we could expand it, but ultimately it's all gonna eventually transcend to a point, like we can say like, yeah, it's okay for us to explore, but we also have to then logically say, well, what does that exploration look like if every goal is met idealistically, right? And then say, well, that would look like this. Well, knowing humankind, that probably wouldn't go that way. You know what I mean? Because nothing ever goes exactly according to plan. In fact, that's the only thing you could plan for. But yeah, no, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with
No,
exploring the
I know
wilderness.
lots of people who have done both, and that's the historical, precedent has been
Mm-hmm.
religious people
Yep.
exploring science.
No,
That's
that's what I'm
how
saying.
it's
Yeah.
been.
Newton
And
was an
pseudoscience
Newton
is
wasn't
just,
an atheist.
oh no, he wasn't. He might have been slightly wackadoodle, but he was very brilliant.
Wait, you don't like the alchemy
Despite
side?
that. Say again?
You
Oh
don't like
yeah.
the alchemy side? The alchemical writings of Newton?
Today's pseudoscience is, you gets vetted and becomes tomorrow's science. And what is
Mm-hmm.
considered science falls out of fashion, and people learn new things. And it's like,
Never
good
ending.
thing we had that stepping stone, but now we know more.
Yep. And yeah, I definitely agree with that. I definitely think that
It's
science.
interesting. So, like, how much we often think of the church dominating the early part of civilization and science displacing the church as the dominant religion. But if you look at the scientists doing the work in the lab, those are some of the most religious people
Yeah,
in the society.
because they
Fascinating.
have stake in the game, right? They have a person to defend. They have a Bible. They have a whole sense of faith that they feel like they have to go out and prove to the world because, let's be honest, most of us have heard people talk the way I've talked and been like, yeah, you believe in something fake and it's not real because I can't see it. And some of us are taught to think that way, and that's the dangers of not mixing both. You see, what we're referring to is religious minds going into science, but now we're talking about just minds going into science, just an empty mind going into science. And it might not be that case for everybody, but it seems to be that case in the mainstream norm for now, at least. And when you go into it from that perspective, that's where I feel like everything starts to become too much like way too many different agreed upon consensuses.
Well, I think the most dangerous thing is the early religious scientists had the same problem where as soon as you're challenging someone else's concrete beliefs, despite the fact you're also religious, then they throw you in jail. Or
well,
so it's
that was a very brief very brief period in history.
It still happens today. There's people that get
Well,
set
yeah,
in their
but
ways and
more
aren't
so to the
flexible enough.
counter.
I'm
But
not
more
sure if it
so,
was all that brief.
yeah, but more so well, in the sense of human life.
Ask Galileo how brief it was.
Brief. You get what I'm saying. We're all brief. I'm brief. um, yeah,
But
man.
they didn't destroy what he did.
No,
That's the key. That's the key piece. It
and
remained, and then Copernicus came along, and he also put his piece out, which redefined things. But it's like any transition of a physical belief of your observable world has always been a battle to prove that that belief was wrong. It's just like the multiple heresies that have occurred throughout the years in the Catholic faith, and you have, multiple branches off. And when people call it the church, they're talking about structure. They're not talking about the content of the truth that they try to maintain from the point where it was created. So in turn, all those variations get, kind of try to corrupt it, kind of keep it the right way. It's a battle. And to people today say, well, it's all a lie because how do I know it's the truth? Well, because if you look, they have attempted to do so, small groups, large groups, and it has been conveyed on and protected, which was the mission that they were given. Well, you have all the others that branch from it, and it was choices of men who decided, I'm going to choose to go this path myself, still believing in most of the fundamental components. So if you look at the total Christian tree structure, that's kind of how you get from point A to point B. Because if you ask Siri who created Catholic Church, she'll tell you Jesus Christ. And if you ask who created Baptist, Methodist, whatever, it will be a man. So in turn, that's a reality that you have to look at and make a choice of, like what you're saying is you went Old Testament coming forward, you're fixing to get to the New Testament. And the first book is Matthew, and Matthew was the most corrupted one of the bunch because he was a tax collector, but yet he was the most documented.
But that
And
was the most that's more so like a moral message. Like if you actually
yes,
if you look at the disciples and the mindsets of the disciples, there's actually a lot of figurative in there. It's about the personalities of the world and about how each different person came to know Christ through a different set of eyes, and how each different mind got to observe Christ, one from a standpoint of love. Each disciple had their own unique feature and ways of viewing the world that I think wasn't unintentional. There was 12 for a reason, and there's many references in science. Speaking of the God particle, I'm not too familiar with that stuff, but about 12 around the one, the Trinity, a lot of hints towards that spiritual science in the Bible being something that's kind of looking more so to be soundly like people could see it. Like people could be like, okay, I could see this. and even witness it in science, like within our DNA and our coding and stuff like that. Um, and yeah, based off of the the base that we go and we look at the world from, um, I think that there was a push in the 1900s, at least in Western America. There was a push here in like the 19 anywhere between like the 1950s and the 70s to get anyone of faith, anyone who claimed to be a Christian, out of any type of position of power because they said that they were using their faith to hold society back. They said that they were no, we live like cavemen if it were up to these Christian people, right? And no, man, we were doing science too, but it just wasn't the kind of science that they wanted. And then, if you look at that period, that speaks for itself, and where we start to go from there.
Oh yeah, I agree. I mean, you
We
look at
remove
you
it,
look at you look
and then
at you look at the type of the media, and you look at all the things that started like with movies and with radio, with books.
mhm,
There were what they called censorship, but it
yeah,
was
we're
keeping it
seeing it
in a
now.
keeping it in. You kept it in a form that was not in a to me was a corruptive nature, and then
Yeah,
when you released it, and then you also changed definitions. It's
yeah,
definitely in the 60s. And then, now it's like it's carte blanche. You
mhm,
have your little area, we have ours, and you can't come into ours and you
yep,
gotta stay in yours.
yep.
So and that's been the mantra that's
Well,
and
yeah.
it's and something's gonna happen somewhere in the future. Something's gonna happen
Oh, yeah.
and
And we can
and
all
it
see it, right?
yeah,
Like, like,
and the thing that I like the most about the one statement: perdition is a wide path.
mm,
The other path to heaven is a very narrow path. And
mhm.
just like you said, the eye of the needle. Okay,
It's
that's
easier for the
that
camel to pass through an eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to enter the
exactly.
kingdom of
And
God.
and and that's where there's a lot of things that it's like a basis of okay, so it's
Uh,
choices and it's up to the individuals, and if there's like in Solomon and Gomorrah one righteous man and his family and they left, and one died because they didn't trust what they were told
exactly.
and turned to stone. So all the things depict your choices have results,
Mhm.
and if you follow a particular path of definitely of love and care and the big 10, because he didn't say throw them away.
No, he
He
did
just
not.
he
No,
he
he did
added
not.
he added those, and you
If
live
we all
those.
followed those,
Yeah, it'd be a
the world
great
would be
place.
the
Yeah.
world would be a much better place.
But other people make choices and don't necessarily live by them or don't know about
Oh,
them
I
or
know. Yeah,
all that kind of stuff. So
yeah. But then you see, like I grew up in that mindset, right? Where we're like, I'm like, everyone's got their own freaking way, and for me, right, I'm in a household full of 17 people, right? So there's a lot of chiefs, not enough Indians, and a lot of everyone wants to think for themselves. There's no unit structure. There's no, and you see how humans fall out when they don't have this unit structure. You could even look at nature. Which animals do the best when they hunt in packs, when there's a unit structure? Of course, there's the big ones, but the big ones die out eventually to the ones that could work together.
and
The
it's a
one,
cycle, too. It's just like Mike talks about. I forget what the name of it is, but it's the interrelationship between the fungus and all the little things that break down everything so that
it's
the
just
mama
there's
plants and baby
scales.
plant.
It's
Yeah,
just scaled down and up, down and up, down and up. It's all scales.
and when the animal world, and even they have predators and you have insects
Yep,
and things disappear and
yep.
then they die out. It regenerates itself, like they've reintroduced, I think, the wolves. I forget, they said somewhere and reintroduced the wolves, which changed the caribou or not, or
Mm.
elk or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And
They
by
did that in
by
Yellowstone.
yeah, and by reducing that, it changed the ecosystem where you had smaller animals coming in, you had increase of
Yep.
predatory birds, and you altered the ecosystem by reintroducing a particular predator. But eventually, you allow that to do a natural course, then it's going to corrupt itself somewhere down the road. They're
Mm.
going to kill too many things. The
Yep.
wolves will die off. Uh, you know there'll be a time when they go and they leave the area to find, food, and then it will change again. But it's just like with the humans, they do the same thing. They've done the same thing from the very beginning. Is when a place becomes non-sustainable, they end up either dying there or they realize that it's not sustainable and they move to somewhere else.
You're basically, and it's so funny because it's like the different. Remember when I told you about like the disciples, right? And all the different kinds of minds that came to know Christ, right? And then there's different minds that observe the world but reach the same conclusion, which is like kind of like that cycle you're describing in nature is kind of exactly the cycle of that Jordan Peterson said at one time. He was like, what did you say? I'm trying to put my thumb on it so I don't butcher it. I apologize, but it was something of the lines of strong men create easy times, easy times create weak men create hard times create strong men, and that's the cycle of nature, really. Like you could take that and put that into science and then look at nature and say, well, that's basically what you just described, but more so in a figurative human way.
Yeah, and it's the same way with like the functional nature. You look at the human body; it's all
so we got to
replicated.
figure it out. Me and you got to figure it out.
Are you arguing for the unification of church and state?
You said what, brother?
Are you arguing for the unification of church and state, Kappa?
Moral monarchy.
That's a tough subject, but
no,
yeah,
it sounds like that's precisely what you want. Is a unification of church and state.
I'll create that state, and I'll surrender the leadership to a leaderless leadership. We'll create our first human DAO.
That doesn't sound very Christian at all.
No, but what we'll be serving. No, it doesn't sound Christian, right? But that's what you have to. That's what it has to be pitched like these days. Because no one, if I come out and say something like, "Yeah, I do believe in that," right? Do you see where that bait?
I just want to like.
Monarch.
Do you see where you could potentially snippet that, right, and then cut that into a 7-second clip, and then send that around the world, and then boom. If I ever thought about running or doing anything politically, that's over.
No, look, if Kanye West can become president, you can.
It's been a long time since we've had a good old-fashioned math cult.
I found the vice president. I found the vice president candidate with Matthews.
There you
Matthews
go.
Kappa.
That's the 1-2 punch.
That is.
What if we trained AI on the teaching of Jesus? Oh man.
Yeah, no, I just want to like articulate that if it is true that you believe that we lost our way when we lost our faith.
Yes, sir.
Then you would agree that to have a state that doesn't espouse religious principles is lost.
Yeah, I mean, if you
I'm not saying you're wrong or right. I just wanted to articulate what it was. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, that's beautiful, because like the conversation we were having is actually like something that's intellectually disputed. Well, prior to like mainstream bullshit, was something that in like the 70s, 80s, and 90s was intellectually disputed on a mainstream level, and we stopped having that conversation. And what we're talking about here is like not just like regular Joe Schmo stuff. We're talking about a way of life, how we conduct ourselves as a civilization and society. Those are big things. These are things that people who sat at important seats once thought about, you know?
And you had to control. You also, like in just about every structure, it has been affected by corruption and not maintaining what the truth is. Yeah.
Even the faith, man. Look at the Vatican. Yep. Look at what they've accepted. Look at what they've rolled back on. You know, that's. I've seen a lot of Christian minds converted to Islam just on the premises of the lack of fight back from Christianity, and it's sad.
That's a heresy of the Catholic Church too.
And that'll.
You always have the problem where when you establish religion as intertwined with the state, is that established religion doesn't allow outside religions.
Well, no, because
older religions even. I mean,
we already take part. We take from the commandments to this day. right? We have a decree of divorce. Thou shalt not murder. You can't kill somebody. Thou shalt not steal. If you steal, you'll go to jail, pay a fine, right? We took from the Ten Commandments and created man's law. We just dissected it and took some of it.
But
you know what I mean? And the
should
rest of
we
it,
also
the rest of it,
incorporate other religions into
they speak of the
the
same thing though.
structure, like Hinduism?
Once you study the doctrine, it pretty much comes down to, like, in the Nation of Islam, they also believe in the Ten Commandments. It's
No. Nation of Islam is a cult of Islam from Islam's point of view. Maybe important to remember that.
Yeah, no. I'm not like I said, I'm not like the most experienced in this, but from what I understand, the okay, so we'll go into the actual doctrine itself. The Quran itself believes and addresses the Ten Commandments from God. It correlates with the Bible actually very well. The Quran, where it takes off, is the interactions between their prophet and the archangel Gabriel. That's where it differentiates, and that's where things start to take a twist. And we can have that discussion another day in a different setting, my brother, because
But
there's some.
What about the non-Abrahamic religions?
Listen, if they reach the same conclusion, right? And most Buddhists convert to Christianity because they feel like their life is pretty much empty. So you have to satisfy the body, the spirit, and the soul. Now that doesn't mean you have to run around and please the flesh everywhere, right? It means that some things that are good for the spirit aren't necessarily so good for the body. So we make sacrifices. We don't get to just, you can't just eat what you want all day, or you become obese, right? That's like God's law. It's kind of like, well, if you do this will happen, right? It's kind of like a cosmic pun, I call it. We try to do something and then something happens, and it's like what Jordan Peterson speaks of when he says he's never seen someone get away with something bad. Snap, like you can pull a rubber band back and you can hold it there for as long as you can, and it may not look like anything snapping forward for a while, but it snaps back, and we observe that and we call it
Okay, I'm
science.
just, as a
Sorry, I got
non-religious
distracted.
person, I
It's
just
been a while since I've been on
Well,
stage.
one of the
people of set religions to maybe be more open to the other religions that I also don't believe in.
So what? So
You know,
yeah, but when you say that,
You
can
just
you?
kind of divide and rule, Jeff.
Yeah. So no. I like this because what other religions are you referring to, and exactly which principles do they differentiate from Abrahamic
well,
religions?
any religious person is an atheist to all the other religions.
That's not true. That's not
Except
true.
for the Buddhists. You could be a Buddhist mixed with anything, I guess.
You don't believe in Ganesh, is what he means.
Yeah, but what they believe in is they worship the creation. And when you introduce the creator, especially to some parts of the world, things actually click for some people. A lot of Buddhists convert to Christianity or the Islamic faith.
So what is the Japanese? Is it Shintoism? I forget how it's pronounced.
Yeah, but
is it ancestor worship? It's a different spirituality, isn't
it's
it?
filial piety. It's kind of something along those lines. It comes from like the Chinese belief in spending time with your ancestors. Really, what they're demonstrating is the quality of life. What goes into a quality life.
By the way, Buddhism is Sri Lankan in origin.
And Christianity's tried to make its way into those spots of the world, and you see what their faiths do. Their faiths, let's not, some of their faiths are directly representative. And some instances, it's taken to the extreme between the power of the
need
state.
a
People have
religious
a fear
Venn
of church and
diagram
state, but
that
sometimes
just
the state gets more
find the
power than the
overlap.
church and state combined.
Yeah, I think you're being a little Catholicentric with and hand wavy on history there, but it's fine.
Oh yeah,
that's a long hand wave there, buddy.
I'm not a historian. I'll let you guys clean it up for me. And I'm always open minded. Like I'll speak from what I think, and I'm always honest.
You don't have to be all open minded because you're not going to convert to Islam anytime soon, right?
Well,
so
no,
you're not that open minded.
But in the areas like where people talk about history, I'll go and research history, but I don't want to come and say anything. Like I don't want to speak on certainty. I also believe that we can have a casual conversation talking where I'm open to the idea that what you're speaking about is true. I think that's how we have a conversation. I have to be open to hearing you. And especially on a matter like this, where we're talking about church and state and the power and all that other mess, and how we could incorporate other religions. Once again,
well, that's
like I said,
the Reverend Carl Sagan once said, "It's okay to have. It's good to have an open mind, but not so open that your brain falls out."
Well, by the way, Steve Jobs climbed the Himalayas and like became Buddhist.
Yeah, it's like Michael told me oil and water don't, they don't mix. And based on that premise, it's the oil and water can meet each other and be separate, but they don't separate themselves. They have to be separated. And that's when you make a choice mentally to say, I listen to you, but I'm not going to accept what you say. You're going to have to listen to what I say.
And that's different.
Then that's where you break because to believe and to have a non-believer. Yeah, you have that's blending. That's chopping everything up in little pieces and making it suspend with each other for a while
kind of like
until
sesame
you do something.
oil for chicken corn soup.
Yeah. Until
yes,
just a
we've
few
seen
drops.
how that plays out. Yeah,
makes a big difference.
Yes.
Yeah, and I do plan to go that route, Jeff. Like these questions you asked me, they're definitely like just strong indicators that like I want to go the history route eventually too as well. Like I told you, this time around, I view it from like from more of a moral standpoint. And I'm really trying to get through it and under this perspective, and then read it through different perspectives. And like I always tell people, read it for yourself. Read the Bible for yourself and see what it says to you. If you read it and you say it's all garbage, then that's that. But if you read it,
you think you'll ever read the Quran?
I'll read the Quran.
have.
Yeah, I've
I
even
read
seen. I've already watched videos where people cross-examine and brought back certain things like in the Quran they address Jesus Christ as a real person.
As a prophet.
He's a
But they don't
prophet. He's not the son of God.
And they talk about Mary too. And
Yep, and that's where the dispute comes in. But yeah, in the Quran, it's a little different because Muhammad originally thinks that he's talking to a demon, and then he tells his family about it, and his family tells him that it's the archangel Gabriel, which. Yeah, that's just a weird start, And if you read that start and you read the Bible start, like I said, I don't have to interpret it for anybody. Just read both of those for yourself. Just read the beginnings for yourself, and those both will speak to your soul in different ways. What's up, Zach?
What's everyone talking about? I heard Bible.
Yeah, we're talking about God.
Kappa's going to church every Sunday now. He's a devout Christian on his way to becoming Matthios Catholic.
No, I'm not Catholic. I want to become born again of the Spirit.
Kappa wants to reunite church and state, Zach.
Nice little.
With a moral monarchy.
Yeah, the moral monarchy, the 10 Commandments. Because I don't know. I ask anybody, go read the 10 Commandments and say if every human being did that, if it would be a bad thing or a good thing. Such a good thing. We even modeled some of our judicial system after it.
You mean the Code of Hammurabi? That one?
What's that? You freaking literature Nazi.
It's okay. There's more to read. I know.
I was gonna say, did we model our judicial system after the 10 Commandments, or did the 10 Commandments model itself after somebody else's teachings? Just a question.
He hasn't gotten that far yet. He's only on the year 0. There's negative numbers.
Then you go back another 4,000 years, and you're back in India learning about their religion.
Actually, they're positive numbers. They're just indicated with a different relative start point.
It just turning around the other way.
Yeah, that's right.
Perspective.
Yep.
That's fantastic.
That's
the
right.
Code of Hammurabi, I think, was the first written down law. I was reading Zachariah Sitchin. You ever hear about that guy? Kappa? Zachariah Sitchin? DeFi gave me the book. The 12th, I forget what the book was called. But he talked about, I think He was saying that a lot of people trace Greek society back to Egypt, but if you look at the alphabet, it's more Syrian.
Oh, we lost him.
Oh, it's a good time. I think I upset him, but he's back. You want some more?
I was like, ha! We gave Kappa something he can't come back from.
No,
Okay.
No, he came back.
No.
I'm not going out like
My
that.
fault.
Hey Zach, did you know that Kappa's white? It fucking blew my mind.
You hear this, Zach? The judgment.
I mean, are you asking me because I'm white, Mike?
Did you tell?
You racist ass.
Yeah, I spoke to him in secret.
We all know each
I
other.
sent him
It's
a
like
white
the secret
message.
club.
Only
Don't
he
you know
knew.
the handshake?
Man, you guys didn't even tell me.
Except Kappa, now that you're becoming religious, now and you're white, I'm.
Are you he's on the watch list?
What am I like?
Yeah.
No, man, come on. My message is nothing but peace and love.
There's already enough of you in this world. Come on.
It's peace and love until you get the whole theocracy going, and then it's off with their heads.
I like how you were contrarian before, and now
I'm sorry.
Now you're just like all the rest.
I'm sorry. Prior history has said that, but if there's anything that's new of this generation, it's the way that the human mind has developed in this new way of life.
Just like old times.
Can I get an answer to my question?
What was your question, brother?
If there's no light, how do you know there's color?
If you said if there's no light, how do I know there's what?
Color.
If there's no light, how do I know there's color?
Yeah.
That's a deep question. That requires a little bit more thought than a sudden response, I think.
Just give me the light and pass the dro. Burst of love, another bottle of mo.
I mean, also, I would like to say that no one's actually white. We're all just kind of cream. So, you know,
I call Allie Yam.
I don't
she
mind.
has kind of like a redskin.
The thing I would argue with is that the actual white is less of any color, and they call it a color, and black is also the absence of color. So in turn, the spectrum in between is really colors. They just use those as a beginning and end point of the spectrum.
Well, unless you're my wife, because she's like not tan, so she is really white.
As long
you
as
don't let her
as
out in
long
the
as
sun.
Oh, don't go with a "you don't let her" comment.
He's from Mississippi. You have to excuse
My
him.
goodness.
I know how the military is. Yeah.
See, this is when New
Now
York
I'm gonna have
meets Mississippi.
Lagerthus jumping in, being like, "Zach, how dare you?"
Lagerthus has been quiet for like 2 hours.
I'm
Just soaking it in.
No,
my wife does
And I
whatever
heard
she
it.
wants. She's just
I
son
was
of
about
her.
to say something.
Lagerth has seen what happens when you have church and state united. You know.
I just said my wife does whatever
The
she
wrong
wants because
men.
she's son adverse, and she went, and that's my right.
Yeah,
I will
I don't
not be
think Michael cares
infringing on
about.
the freedoms of your wife. That's, I guess, your job, right?
Me?
Yeah.
No, she wears the pants in the relationship.
Yeah, for the
he
better.
lives in New York. It's different out there.
So you're saying you wear the dress while you're at home?
Me? I'm usually naked at home.
Zach.
Dresses are comfortable AF, all right?
Yeah. Listen,
Yeah, we call them a
Maybe
sarong
he's
in
wearing
India.
I've
the
been
Donald
saying
Duck
that
sailor suit.
forever. Why are men not wearing like skirts or dresses instead of women? Because, we don't have dingly bits down there. It should be much more comfortable for you to not squeeze them in like this triangle crotch area in pants.
I mean, women have internal heating systems for their privates. We gotta get external heated. So maybe that's why we wear pants.
This is where logic leads us.
Oh, is this
And
not
once you
Christian
invent the
enough talk
kilt,
for you, Kappa?
Huh?
once you invent the kilt, then you have to make that little purse that sits in the front to hide your junk behind.
What'd you say, brother?
No, the people who wear kilts, they also have that purse they wear in the front to hide their junk behind because you can't go around having a culture of men with wood all the time.
Well, they
No.
also did it for protection to keep, your buddy from whacking you,
Yeah,
You
plus those
telling me
things.
you can't whack your penis when you wear pants, but when you wear a skirt, not? Like, that makes no sense.
Well, running can be
No.
dangerous sometimes.
You could still wear underwear to, keep it in place
No,
if
under
your
a kilt,
balls are that
there's only
saggy.
two things you wear under a kilt: socks and shoes.
Yep.
Right. Then you just, I don't know, train your Kegel or whatever you do when you have saggy balls. I
Actually,
don't
you just
know.
pull
Wear
that up
ball
into
Oh,
your
man.
Kegel
stomach.
that what? There's no suck it up, Buttercup. There's no Kegels to suck that up there.
Have you
Well,
ever
then wear
tried it?
bra. That's what we got to do, right? Middle-aged women
Unless you're
like me
Ball
have to wear
unless you're a
bras. That's our
bras.
drag queen
product,
hiding your
Mike.
candy.
Yeah,
Ball bras.
yeah, I like it. Little hammocks for your balls.
Also, you can do lifting down there, right? Just like we can vagina rejuvenation, you can get a lift on your ball sack. Just FYI.
If you lift them with weights, they're just going to go down further.
I wonder if you can pull them up into your stomach, like through just like concentration.
Well, depends on how cold
Yes.
the water is, I guess.
You think so, Zach? I wonder. Let me try. Hold on. Let me stand up.
I'm going to stand by my last comment and move on.
It's tough.
That's very unlike
Try
you, Zach.
harder.
I'm
Yeah, you need
squeezing my
colder
leg.
water, Michael. Colder. The water needs to be colder.
I've never tried it. I want to be able to move my balls like guys move their pecs,
We are the island.
Chris is currently showcasing it works if you put enough,
shut
willpower to it.
up. Amazing. Only Chris. And then you can put like eyeballs on them, like the googly eyes, and then like shake around.
I could get a tattoo, yeah.
I think that's a great way to end up tonight.
I was about to say, looks like I brought all the pizzazz.
I'm so glad you're back, and I'm so glad that you're going to unite church and state in about 12 years as the new president after Kanye West gives up the reins.
No,
man.
Mattios.
Let's surely
Mattios.
hope not.
Oh, Mattios, that's right.
Yes, he's his VP. I'm gonna tell him. I'm gonna send him a message
Well,
right
surely.
now and let him know.
Yeah, well, Kappa could be like the Mike Pence now that he's converted, right?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
I don't want no position of leadership.
That's why you're going to be given it.
It's usually, unfortunately, what have we seen from theatrical speculation in that regards, referring to human behavior and leadership. It's usually the people that the people pick that never want it.
I find that, like Dan Carlin said, that they say that absolute power corrupts absolutely, but not necessarily, right?
No, you have to. I think, a part of like human empathy, right, is like coming from like nothing or struggling or like, and that's found in many different ways, obviously, because different people struggle differently. But like empathy comes from like enduring alongside your fellow like human being and seeing them endure and them go through struggles and stuff like that. And I forgot where the heck I was taking this conversation, but mine just skipped out on me. It's late. I haven't been up this late in a while, guys. What time is it for you guys?
That's amazing. No, that was perfect. That's the way we end, with you forgetting your point. That's that old school Kappa that we've come to know and love.
11:14 Central Standard Time, Daylight Standard Time.
It's 12:14 here, brother. I got an hour on you.
All right, Catholic, give us the title. Take us out.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. This has been the SquareSpace Degen Conversations in a Broadcaster's Voice, Season 1, Episode 1. Tuning out.